Hello, everybody. How are you? Hopefully, you can hear me. Someone will get on and confirm they can hear me. Hopefully, my dogs behave themselves. We'll see. Hey, A team, you launched today. Congratulations. Can you hear me? How's Nyla? I'm trying to get my tea. I have you guys sitting on my lap. Okay, yeah, you can hear me. Oh my goodness, I missed you. I'm glad you're back. I hope everything is good, well. Hey Elizabeth, hey the Missy C60. Hey ladies, how are you? All right, Elizabeth Riley, present 529. That's funny. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. I'm in the bed. I don't know about you guys, but I've been watching these shenanigans. Oh, thank you, Elizabeth. They acquitted the 45th. I'm gonna move on from that. I wanted to touch base because I was getting a lot of, I'm sorry if I'm wobbly. I have you guys on my lap because I'm still in the bed, or I'm in the bed. I'm in my room. Now the girls, they've been minding their own business and now they want to come and say hi. Hello, Liberty. Where are you going? Do you want to say hi? Okay. Look, there's people. You want to say hi? Look over there. Hello. No? Okay. What about you, Justice? No? Do you want to say hi? Okay, you guys go play. Go play. Oh my goodness. All right. So there's people who were asking me questions about the donor egg process. So I don't know if anybody has any questions. Hey, Sky Princess. Hey, LaShonda. Did you see I wore the t-shirt in the video the other day when I announced the retrieval day? They're now competing for my, hey, May, how are you? So I wanted to come on. First, okay. Okay, guys. Bye. Go play. Go play. I don't even have a toy to throw for them. I swear they were not even on this bed like 5 seconds ago. Watch, I know I'll put a bow in their hair and then they'll want to run away. Who wants a bow? What'd I tell you? Okay, so people were asking about the donor egg process, and some people were confused because I put the hashtag DEIVF, so DE stands for donor egg, in my little felt board where I posted it. So that's donor egg. I'm doing donor egg IVF, as is Ursi. Oh my God, so many of you guys gave her so much love. I think we more than doubled her subscribers. So thank you guys for all the love and support. I know that she appreciates it. I definitely appreciate it. However, so our story was about us both being, women who are doing donor egg IVF, single moms by choice who are doing donor egg IVF. And some people hit me up like, how much does it cost? And it's not that straightforward. So for me, I explored 3 different types of donor eggs. And so I can talk about those types. When I talked to Ursi, hers was another option, which is a 4th option, which I'm sure she'll eventually do a video on. Hey, Mrs. Living in Hope. Oh, thank you. That's Liberty and Justice. You haven't been around in a minute, girl. That's Liberty and Justice. They say hi. Hi, Kit Kat. Oh, thank you, LaShonda. It was, the shirt looked amazing for sure. But yeah, it was where I announced it was the retrieval date. Well, the trigger date and retrieval date, and it posted the day of retrieval. So I thought it was an appropriate shirt to wear that day and just sending me good vibes. And so, yeah. Okay. So what was I saying? So I went through 3 different types. I explored 3 different types of donor eggs. The first one was a standalone donor egg clinic, which provided fresh eggs. So it was a place in California. Now I can't remember. It's like a cheesy name, like Unexpected Expectations or Surprising Journey or something like that. So I found a donor on that website. And this is when I was still at Share. I was at Share Fertility because I was looking while I was in California. I don't know if you guys remember, I wanted to do a tandem cycle. I was going to do my eggs and I was going to do a donor egg at the same time. We were going to do, just like it sounds, tandem cycles at the same time. So I was still at Share. And then I found out that Dr. O, who I had been seeing, had left Share. I actually don't think I found that out or realized that until I got back to New York. Anyway, so I was looking at this clinic in California, live donor versus frozen. So that meant the donor was going to be able to cycle with me. That's what I was looking for. And so that place was independent of Share Clinic. And so what Share wanted to do, and so I was with Dr. I always butcher his name, Tortorelli. I always make it a food. It's Dr. T. It's something Italian. He's the only Dr. T at Share Fertility. Sorry. So anyway, so he wanted a match sheet, which is that he needs to verify that this woman and I, the potential donor, are a match, which makes sense, right? Before you buy the eggs and go, like, I mean, before you not buy the eggs, before you confirm the person, go through the cycle to get the eggs, you want to make sure that the eggs are going to match with me and also with the sperm. So in order to get the match sheet, this clinic wanted $16,000. Not to move forward, just to get the match sheet. At that point, once we got the match sheet, it could have been determined that she and I were not a match, which means I'm back to square one. So they had their own lawyer, which I had the option of using their own lawyer. I'm always sketchy about that. So I went back to the lawyer that I had when I did my second donor sperm contract. And basically it came down to this. If this woman is not a match, will I be refunded my money, the $16,000? The answer was no. They would help me find another donor that was in their network, I guess, or they would actively go out and look. Well, I would hope so. You have my $16,000. I was not comfortable with that because finding a donor is already like 2-3 month process at best. And so I was not comfortable with handing over $16,000. Obviously, I wasn't paying cash. It was either going to be on credit or some form of something. So you're basically holding onto my money. I'm not eligible to get interest on it. I'm potentially paying interest on it, and it's sitting there and I'm getting nothing for it. So that was not a good thing for me. Thank you, Kit Kat. I appreciate you. So after that, what did I do? So that's when I think that was right before I was going to move. So I had the mask on in my old apartment. I was sitting on the floor. If you look at that thumbnail, and there's like the fireplace is behind me. And I was like, do I need to change REs again? And that's when I was thinking, well, Columbia has the ability to find an egg donor for me. Like they have that as a service. They have like a bank of their own egg donors. And I don't know if they're fresh and I think they don't have frozen. They only have the fresh because I asked about both and they gave me a list of external banks for the frozen. Oh, let me go back. I'm so sorry, guys. I should have written this down. Hotmess.com. While I was looking for the donor, while I was still at Share, there was another donor bank that I came across online and they had Black women on there. And so I had reached out to them. They would not do a live or a fresh cycle. These women had already gone through their cycle and their eggs were in, I was going to say a refrigerator. That's not right. They were cryopreserved. Their eggs are cryopreserved. So you could pick them. It's not funny. It just amuses me. Like by the dozen or half dozen. That amuses me because they're not like chicken eggs, but that's how they sell them. So, and I had the option of getting a dedicated cycle or a dedicated batch. I can't remember how they phrase it. At any rate, you're buying a certain amount and they guarantee out of so many X amount will fertilize or something. It was just a little bit wonky for me. And yeah, I didn't do that. So that's when I was like, oh, I want to go back to Columbia. Like I loved Dr. McConnell. The only reason that I left Columbia was because I was still trying with my own eggs and Share had more experience with advanced maternal age using their own eggs. And they were in my insurance group, right? Because there's also CHR here in New York, Center for Human Reproduction, that has a lot of experience with advanced maternal age. They were the ones who pioneered DHEA for women of an advanced, but I'm just going to say AMA. You guys know what that is, right? Just so yes, dozen or half dozen. I know it's very strange. So CHR has them. They wanted $500 just to take like a meeting, and that just seems silly. And they were out of Paw Patrol's on notice. Somebody must have gotten off the elevator, maybe. I don't know. They're my little watchdogs. Okay, girls. So at that point, it was overwhelming for me with the donor egg situation. So that's why I was like, I need to go back to Columbia. Like Columbia was very much like high touch service, and I knew they would find the donor for me, or they would do the research. And mind you, at this time I'm still working full time, like crazy hours, and I had enough of donor egg searching in that regard. So I had a meeting with the team, the donor egg team at Columbia. We went over exactly what I was looking for. They wanted to see my donor profile first. They wanted to look at my donor, his genetics and everything else. And not only to see it, but they wanted me to have purchased the sperm already, because that locks it in. And so they're like, if you're sure, go ahead and get the sperm, send it in. And then we got all the records. So based on that, then they matched me, and they only showed me one egg donor, and I was like, that's the one. And it took maybe 45 days. So it was like moving really fast at the beginning, which was good. Yeah. And also my donor is darker than I am. She's Haitian. And we took that into consideration when looking at the male donor and like what the blend was, because that was the idea, is to get a child that looks as close to me as possible. So, hey, Seeking Sade, what's going on, lady? We're just over here talking about donor eggs. Nothing in here but us chickens. No, that's an old song. Y'all probably don't even know. Anyway, so that was a story, because someone posted on Instagram, like, I don't remember what they said, but basically, once the eggs were retrieved, they are legally my eggs, right? So I didn't have a shared cycle. So all 33 that were retrieved belonged to Tanika at that point. And then obviously once they get fertilized and everything else. Coincidentally, we did a whole bunch of research. So 33, I think it was Red Blonchick. You said it reminded you of Jesus. And so I started Googling, and like 33 I'm going to read this to you guys, because 33 is about promises in the Bible, God's promise. And so I think he was talking to me when I got the 33. So let me just find it so I don't misquote it. I'm on my laptop, guys. So I'm just looking at I'm not fancy enough to do it from my camera. So I'm just using we're FaceTiming basically. Okay. So there's something about Noah. Now, of course, I can't find it. Let's do this. Also, 33 is the numerical equivalent of amen. No, I'm not finding it. Here we go. Okay, so the meaning of the number 33 is connected to certain promises made by God. The 33rd time Noah's name is used in the scripture is when God makes a special covenant or promise with him, the eternal promise to not destroy the entire world again with the flood, and seals his pledge with the sign of the rainbow. So I feel like that is a sign, like especially that it's sealed with the sign of the rainbow, knowing that I'm looking for my rainbow baby. And it's also magical with unicorns. I identify as a unicorn, being 49 and trying to conceive. 33rd time Abraham's name is used in the Bible is when Isaac, the child of promise, is born to him when he is 99 years old. Yeah. So I think it has meaning. The divine name of God is initially mentioned in the first verse of Genesis, and it appears 33 times in Genesis story of creation. And then I already said 33 is also the numeric equivalent of the word amen. So I think that has meaning. Hey, Cheryl. I'm back in here with you guys. Hey, Rhonda. What is the bank? I have to look it up because I don't remember. This was last year when I was doing it. Actually, you know what? Hang on. I think I saved it because on my laptop, it might be. Nope. DM me if you're on IG and remind me, and I will send you the list. I know that Dr. O had given me a list early around this time last year, or maybe May of last year. And it's there's 2 on that list that are specific, or not specific, but they have a high number of Black women on there. Okay. So my egg bank has all. Okay, maybe it was my egg bank. You had 33 viewers while you were talking about that. Really? Oh my God, I can't even see that. Okay, come through. I love that. I love that. So yeah, so I think that was it. So I don't know if you guys are all following me on Instagram. So of the 33, 18 were mature and 16 were fertilized. So it dropped quite quickly, and you expect 80% attrition rate. So it's a little bit higher than 80%. So I do feel like that 33 was a message to me, like that's a promise. And it is that God is making a promise to me. So we'll see. And that it's sealed with the rainbow. I mean, it's all kinds of like chills and whatever else, but everything kind of seems to be falling in place. I'm cautiously optimistic about how it's happening. And yeah, and I think, I've been doing visualization. So today is day 3 for the embryo. So Thursday was day 1 in the petri dish. So I've just been doing visualizations of them dividing and growing and being healthy. I don't expect that all 16 will make it necessarily to blastocyst, and the clinic is growing them out to blast, so they're not calling it a day 5 blast, so they will grow it out to day 5, day 6, and day 7 in the hopes that it will make it to blast, and whatever make it to blast in that period will be frozen. It's a freeze-all cycle. So I will get an update on Tuesday of like maybe there's 7 that are ready to be frozen and some others that need to grow a couple more days. So I, hopefully we'll get 4, 5 out of it. I have a number, something to tell me it's 6 or 8. Like that's the number that's kind of like in my head, but we'll see. We'll see. It, who knows? That could be a date and not a number about the egg. So I'm not gonna. Yes, 18. Ask me all the questions you want. The intent is to transfer 1 embryo. Yeah, that is the plan. It depends on what the quality of the embryos are. The lower the quality, the more inclined the doctor will be to transfer more than 1. So I'm hoping they're high quality, and that's not even a discussion we have to have. But because of my age, because I have the 1 kidney, they are not recommending that I transfer 2 because I'm a high risk. I'm already high risk just because of my age alone, never mind everything else. Oh, Mrs. Gaither, you pray for 17? Oh, wow, that's amazing. So 16 so far is good. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, it is. I was not expecting 33 at all. I think I almost dropped the phone when the nurse said that to me, and I was like, whoa. And she was like, let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's not going to be that many embryos, because they want to keep you mindful. Like, you get this amount of eggs, this amount are mature, this amount are embryos, this amount make it to blast, right? So it wasn't even that I ever thought I was going to have 33 embryos. I just was not expecting that much. And it was also very humbling, because if you think about when I did my own eggs, I started with 7. And that was after doing DHEA, because at first I only had 5. My antral follicle count was 5. And then after several months of the DHEA, my antral follicle count went up to 7. Then we, in my cycle with Dr. McConnell, we thought we would have 3 for retrieval. And then on retrieval day, we only got 1. So I still feel like I ovulated the other. I remember having like pains on the way to the clinic, but whatever, it's neither here nor there. I had the 1, it fertilized. We didn't try to grow it to day 5. I transferred on day 3. So to have them say she had 33 just really drove home how much our fertility declines as we get older, because there was a part of me that was like, I want to have my own liberty. This one, I'm going to mute myself. Hang on. Liberty likes to chew the wicker basket. Come on up here. And the heater just came back on. All right. So yeah, it was just humbling. Like 33 is a lot. And so that is just the power of youth right there. That is like all hands on deck for young ovaries. That was, yeah. Hi, is it Glady? Hello, Broderick. Welcome. Hey, Letitia. Did your donor take any additional oral medications to stimulate her follicles? I do not know what her medication cycle was, Letitia. I paid $2,500 for her meds. That's all I know. What she took, I have no idea. Is it Nee Gray? Hi. Oh, thank you. Hopefully it's Nee. It's either Nee or Naya Gray 44. So yeah. So it's been nice. Like you guys have shown Ursula and I so much love. So thank you for all that and for watching both the videos. Her subscriber count is up, which is always awesome. And it's good to show her the love, like going through this, because it's nerve-wracking. And I honestly don't know what I would do if I didn't have you guys, because it's, even if I'm not like live with you, even when I'm recording, I know I'm talking to you guys, and so it helps keep me a little saner. So I do appreciate you guys showing her love, and hopefully we'll all get our babes. Hey, NG Mama. So yeah, that is it. I just wanted to come on and talk a little bit about the donor egg and the donor egg process. So I want to make the point of first talking to Liberty. I swear they were so quiet before I opened up this live chat. Do you guys have your tea? Let's all just have a sip of tea. Okay. Yeah, so the legal part of it, I think sometimes people forget the legal part of the eggs and the ownership, and it's different things in different states and different countries. So because some people ask, like, why didn't I go abroad? One, I don't have insurance abroad. Even though I'm paying a hefty amount out of pocket, I do have some coverage, and I have the protection of that insurance. Like if there's something wrong that goes wrong, they would join me in some sort of malpractice suit, where I don't know that in fact, I know for sure if I went to like another country, they're not going to, right? Because that's just out of their hands. And so it would be me and my own legal team all on my own if there was a medical malpractice. And then there's also the point of I don't want to say ownership because you don't own, like, of parentage. So even some states right now, right, if someone, and I'll use same sex as an example because that's sometimes easier for people to use. So say if two women have a child, in some states, if those two women are married, as soon as that child is born, and obviously it's donor conceived, as soon as that child is born, the second parent, the one who did not carry the child, is automatically granted parentship and is put on the birth certificates. That is not true in all states in America. In some, you have to go to court and you have to petition for either guardianship or parental rights, right? So it's the same thing for any donor conceived situation. Obviously, with the male donor, it's a little more straightforward. That's a little more commonplace, even for heteronormative couples. And so the thing that I was worried about is if I go to another country, does that woman have some sort of claim on those eggs? Like here in New York, once those eggs were retrieved, they were legally mine. There was no, up until that retrieval, the woman could have changed her mind. And so, and that's just the way it is. So I'm not sure in other countries, and I didn't have time to look for a donor. I definitely did not have time to look and research other countries' laws and find a lawyer both here and in another country, and that's just an added expense. And then fly into the other country and all that. So that didn't make sense for me. I'm not knocking anybody who does third-party reproduction in other countries, but I looked on YouTube and I couldn't find anybody who did that. Most people did, coming from America. Let me clarify. Coming from America, most people did their own eggs when they went to other countries. And then I saw a lot of people not coming from America who went to Spain who did both. And in some countries it's not legal, so they had to lie about why they were there. It gets complicated with third-party reproduction. It's not as straightforward as everybody may assume. So that was one of the questions on Instagram. And then there's just people being rude, which I just deleted it. They're like, oh, you're just going to put someone's sperm inside of you. Obviously that doesn't happen with IVF. There's no one's sperm being inserted into me. Now, mind you, I did do an IUI and I absolutely had sperm injected into me. But for the sake of the thread that I had going on Instagram, that was not helpful or useful. But there's a lot of donor egg IVF women who are like DMing me or who are thinking about it or wanting to do it or inquisitive. And so I think that's cool. I didn't realize so many people wanted to do it. Yeah, I remember when I was against it, there would be people who would give me like unwanted messages in there and say like, you shouldn't be so whatever about donor eggs. And most of these celebrities are doing donor eggs. And it was like, I'm not basing my life on if celebrities are doing it or not. Like that has nothing to do with my decision making. I'm not deciding not to go to donor eggs because Janet Jackson is not being upfront about it. And I'm not saying that she did or didn't use donor eggs. I'm just using that as an example. Because I don't know. But that didn't factor into my decision making at all. So those kind of comments or people were coming for me in the DMs was not really helpful. But I mean, I guess that's part of putting your life out here. On the upside, I met a lot of positive women, and most recently connected with Ursula. So that was good. And Sandra Wiley reminded me that I did know another woman of color, single mom by choice, who used donor eggs. And so I was like, yeah, blame it on my head and not my heart. You are absolutely right. So that is what's going on with that. How are you ladies doing? I'm just running around. Let me see. I'm going to do Mrs. Living in Hope. What's going on with you? How are you? How is the year unfolding for you? Elizabeth, how are you doing? Missy C60, your package, I'm not sure if it's going to make it there by, which it would need to be there by today or tomorrow. I sent the order in late because I couldn't order it on my Mac, and I finally figured out to do it on my work computer, which I'm sure the IT team is going to love that I was buying cases of wine on there. But anyway, it should be there next week though. So hopefully you enjoy it. And thanks for watching that video and for entering. Definitely helps support Center Cork. And a lot of people went on there and bought wine, so that was good. So hopefully they get to help a bunch of kids, and that'll be nice. All right, lady, any questions, ladies? I think I just called you guys lady. I think that's all I have on my donor egg saga. Or not even saga, just waiting. I'm taking progesterone. I got those. I haven't started them. I'm waiting on cycle day 1. I got my progesterone, or this is estradiol. What am I saying? I'm waiting on the progesterone. It was meant to come last night. So I'm going to take estradiol, 2 milligram tabs, 1 tab by mouth 3 times a day. So I'll be taking 6 milligrams a day. Those came. And then I will be taking the progesterone and oil, which I'm ordering. I already have the lidocaine. I got a 5% lidocaine. I'm ordering heating pads, and there was something else I was getting it's like a heating pad and a warming thing, because I've watched a bunch of videos where it's good to like warm it up and also warm up your skin because it is an oil, and to not put it in the fridge because you don't want the oil to be, what do you call it? Hard. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's stable at room temperature. It's made with sesame oil, so you don't want it to be too thick. That's what I'm thinking for. Like, the colder it is, the thicker it is, and then you'll start getting lumps. So, did my blood type match the donors? I don't remember. My blood type matches the male donor. I don't remember if it matches the female donor. I think I'm looking this way. Let me just hang on. Let's go over there and see. You know, I'll drop a note in this comment later because I think it's on that bookshelf, but I'm not sure, and I don't want to get up and I don't remember if it matched the female donor, but my blood type is O, and it does match the male donor. We both are O. So and then we did, which O is universal, so it's yeah, which is why I was a good candidate to donate my kidney to my sister, is because I had O blood type. I'm preparing for a second egg retrieval. Oh, yay. How far away are you, Gladdy, from your second egg retrieval? Thank you, LaShonda. I'm excited too. I'm excited. I think this is it. We'll see. And I'm like, there's a part of me that's like, it feels like it's it, but what if it's not it on the first time? And I'm trying to keep that out of my head. I'm like, if it isn't, we'll try again. I was watching Rachel and Justin. So like they had multiple embryos after their retrieval. They're using their own eggs, own sperm. And they had, the first one didn't take, then she was pregnant, had a loss. Then she was pregnant and had a little girl, and then pregnant again, had twins. And each time they're putting two embryos in, right? So first one, the 2 embryos didn't take. Second one, she put 2 embryos in. One of them took. She ended up having a stillborn, which is, I can't even imagine. Third one, so now they're on 6 embryos they've used. One of them took, and that's how they got their daughter. Fourth one, 2 more embryos. both of them took, and they have twin boys. So hopefully, that's what I'm saying. Hopefully I end up with at least 8, because you can go through quite a few embryos where it might not take. So we'll see. But I think that's why Dr. McConnell wanted to do the progesterone oil, because if you remember with the other transfer using my own egg, we did suppositories. They were like oral. I say they were oral tablets. They look like oral tablets that you put in your hoo-ha. And we did 3 days. So she was like, no ifs, ands, or buts, we're going to do progesterone and oil. So hopefully that is it. We'll see. Hey, Mita. Thank you. I'm excited too. We're just waiting on day 1 now, and then the show gets going. So we'll see. Just taking supplements to cycle start. Oh, nice. Good for you. And hopefully just staying calm until then. So March will be here before you know it. Like today is what, the 13th? So March is like right around the corner. Do all the relaxing that you can. That's my advice. Mrs. Gaither, been priming for 102 days with NMN. Oh, I like that. I will start my 7th IVF cycle in May 2021. I think I have that in, I think it's the Niagen. It's the brand name that I use is Niagen. I like that. 7th IVF cycle in May 2021. My husband and me. Oh my God. Okay. So the 7th, did you have any pregnancies out of it, or any take-home babies out of the 6 prior? Hi, Denisha. Thank you. Also doing LLLT red light therapy. Oh, very good. I've only seen them do red light therapy on the face, but I think it's the same thing. Like they're exposing your tummy to the red light. Is that what you're doing? Hey, Brandy, how are you? Hey, girl. Hey. Mine is Star. Okay. So I think that's great. I've done a lot of research on imminent, so that's a good one to take. Eris, great news on the amount of embryos that fertilize. I'm preparing for retrieval on the 17th. Oh my goodness, next week. Oh, sending you prayers. Have you ever heard about the 3-parent IVF? What are your thoughts? I have heard about the 3-parent IVF. There is a doctor here in New York who does it, but at his clinic in New Mexico. He has Hope Fertility, the Hope Fertility Clinic. And I looked at that, and if the coronavirus had not happened, I was looking into exploring that. There, you are required to have some sort of, I don't want to say defect, but it's like a chromosomal abnormality to explore it, which I do. So I was looking at that, but it was, time was not on my side. So it is what it is. Are you considering doing that? It's not legal anymore in the United States. You do have to go. You would have to, well, at least if you go with him, you'd have to go into Mexico. But they did, since that has happened, they did prohibit it for, at least, let me say this, because things change every day. The last time that I looked, which was in 2019, it was not legal in the US. I'm sorry, Mrs. Gaither. 2 miscarriages, 1 did not stick. Yeah, that's the worst. The miscarriages are the worst, and they're like a mind trip. So I've had 2 miscarriages. The last one was Applejack, and it's not something people can prepare you for. And then I did the meds. That was also painful. They're like, oh, it's going to be like a heavy, painful period. And I'm like, if anybody has periods like this is not normal. It's like labor. It basically sends your uterus into contractions, and then you feel your cervix open up. So I can't even imagine. Like, I was watching some YouTube channel, and there was a young lady who had to give birth. Her son died the day before his due date in the uterus, and so she had to give birth, and God bless her. But she was on there, and she was like, I'm talking about this. I feel like there was a purpose. There was a purpose for my son. There was a purpose for it to happen to me, and I wanted to let people know. So at least she was able to find meaning in it. A-team took me 3 tries. The key is to never give up. Absolutely. Absolutely. A-team, do you have any more embryos left? And are you going to try again? I have my red light therapy at home. Oh, you do? You do it at home. Oh, very cool. Okay. There's a woman on YouTube that I watch, Natural Chaos. She has one, and she does it, but not for IVF or for pregnancy. She just tries all these things. I love her channel. Yes. I'm a queen too. Oh, I'm a queen of me. Hello, how are you? I wish you all the luck and baby dust in the world. This all sounds so positive. Thank you. Thank you. I've been watching you for a long time. Wishing you baby dust. I'm looking into embryo adoption. Oh, awesome. Okay. I used my last embryo. Oh, you did. Okay. And that's how you got Nyla. Oh, she was definitely sent from God. Wow. Wow. Okay. Um, is it Uju? I didn't really look into embryo adoption. People were asking me about it at the end, so I did like some cursory Google searches. Are you a single mom by choice? Are you going into it single? Because there didn't seem to be. There was another woman, now I can't remember, who's also in the fam, who she went to Columbia. She said she did embryo adoption through Columbia and had no issues. I wasn't aware of that. Again, I didn't ask for it when I went. But after people asked me about it, I did do a Google search, and there were the sites that had them. It was like a regular adoption, like they wanted to do home visits and a home study, and it just seemed a little intense. And some of them were like, we don't want our child to be with a single person. So, Letitia, I had one failed IVF. The embryos were not suitable for transfer. I'm in the process of looking for another doctor. Oh, wow. Is that, Letitia, because you had the screening, the PGS? Is that why they said they weren't suitable for transfer? Uju said yes. Okay. Yes. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I've been watching a lot of videos on embryo adoption, and so there is some of them are a little scary, I'm gonna be honest. So I was raised Catholic. Catholic Church doesn't like officially approve IVF, but there are these I guess a lot of churches don't. So there are these church organizations who are big advocates for embryo adoption because they feel like you're not a part of the sin, but you're helping the sinners, which is just like a off-putting thing. But they too also usually want two parents. So yeah, the embryo adoption thing is interesting. I think especially back in the day, because they used to stim women like such a high dosage of stimulation, they would have so many eggs. There are some embryos that are still like 30 years later being cryopreserved. So I get it. I think it's important. I think if someone is open to that, then absolutely. It just is a different way to becoming a parent. There's so many ways to becoming a parent, and it's all personal, and whatever we decide is best for us, we decide. And if we change our mind, because, 2 years ago, I was not open at all to donor eggs. And so I had to have a long talk with myself. Are you ready to walk away? Are you ready to walk away empty handed? And so, yeah, got right as rain, girl, got right as rain. We've decided to with a donor for IUI, and we'll be having our first procedure next month. Yay, but very nervous about picking a donor. Oh, so do you have male factor and you're going to do donor sperm for IUI? And that's cool. Next month, you're moving fast. Sending you lots of baby dust. You not I. Uh-oh, I missed it. Okay. 8-Bit Breeze, PCOS and autoimmune related infertility. I've been watching your videos for a while now. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thanks for watching, you guys. Yeah, Bree, you signed it, Bree. You guys are more to me than you know. I give as good as I get, honestly, because it is okay, Quinn to me. Yeah, it helps lift me up. It really does. And to like post a video and see the comments and just share this experience and have a common experience, because I don't have anyone in my personal life who's going through this or who really understands. And it's hard. People say insensitive things when they don't understand like infertility or this struggle. And one, like, I'm going to say ex-friend now, when I was still on Facebook, was like, I did something for Infertility Awareness Week, and she was like, it's not infertility at your age. God doesn't want you to have children. And I was like, oh, okay. The point of Infertility Awareness Week was not about me. It's about bringing awareness to infertility in general to support everyone who's going through it. But, thanks for your sympathy, friend. So, yeah. And other people are like, they think that I can't carry a child, and like people close to me have asked about that because of my age, and there's no medical evidence to support that. It's really about chromosome of the eggs. Well, one, it's about my age and the ability to not get a lot of eggs, right? So if you look at the 27-year-old donor who got 33 eggs, and you look at me who got one, I mean, that's data right there, right? And so if every time I'm doing it, I'm only getting one, and we know that the number of eggs that have been in my body are 49 years old or older because they were created. Now the dog's over here. Hi, hi, hi. Can I help you? And you guys are on my lap, and she's just like on the lap board, rocking it. Oh, you know why? Because I have your bed here. Hang on, guys. Oh, let me do this. You want this? Here, get in that one. Okay, you guys lay in there. I also have one of the beds underneath me so that the board is not right on my lap. They're hilarious. A long time coming, started back in February 2018. Oh, yes. With tubal reversal to finally get to this point is amazing. Any tips on picking a donor? Ooh, I would say narrow it down to 3 and then walk away and come back. Read all of the information that they have. Are you going through California Cryobank? That's what I went through, so I'm not. But read everything they have, like what the donor said, kind of look at it with a grain of salt. Think of it like if you've ever interviewed an intern or if you've ever interviewed to be an intern, like kind of the answers they give you is kind of what I took away from the donor profile. So you got to kind of read between the lines a little bit. I base a lot of mine on their physical appearance and their interest, their personal interest, as well as their family medical history. That was important to me. To have it documented. I don't have my family medical history on my mom's side or my dad's side. My mom doesn't really have hers. She was fostered or orphaned at the age of 14, and so she doesn't have access to a lot of it. Just not medical data, just family history. Like there's some, but not a lot, as I found out as we're trying to do. I'm trying to do ancestry DNA profiles. Hi, this is Justice, everybody, who for some reason is super interested in what's going on over here. Do you want a bow in your hair? Let's see how that goes. Let's see. Let's get a bow. No, stay. You wanted to play. Come here. Hotmess.com. She was on the move. You need your hair brushed, lady. You need your hair brushed. Okay. Yeah, so the medical history was important and the appearance. Although 50% you, 50% donor, who knows? I know a couple of couples who have matched the donor to the partner, and then others who weren't as worried about that. I honestly feel like it just makes it more seamless, like the closer the child can look to the parents as possible, just so they're not having to explain anything. And I'm not trying to be funny. Like, I'm going to say this because I said I've been watching these embryo adoption videos. So there is a white couple, and this is not based on race alone. I'm not saying it that white people shouldn't raise children of other colors, but they had an Asian child. And then there was another, and she birthed the child, the mom. And then there was a white couple who had a black child. Like, I just feel like that's a lot of questions that people are going to have for that child. Even if the child is like, no, I'm not adopted, or I'm adopted through, or having to explain it. I just feel like that's an extra level of drama, like that a 5-year-old really shouldn't have to deal with in kindergarten. Maybe it's just me. So my opinion is, for me, and this is, you asked me what I thought about it, so I'm telling you what I think. I'm not saying this is for you. The child should look as close to the parents as possible, unless that's a conversation you want to keep having, and unless that's a conversation you feel like your child should keep having. Then have whatever kind of child you want, and then the donor doesn't matter. If it's a match, it's a match. But that, and I wanted the male donor to have my blood type. And keep in mind that I was looking for a male donor long before I was looking for a female donor. And I'm on my 3rd male donor now, which I think this was the one, because 16. I think this was the one. So, and I think I told you guys the first donor I had from California Cryobank ended up with some sort of abnormality that he didn't know about, but was showing up in the donor conceived children. And so they had to go back to him and ask, and he had to go back to his parents and ask. And there was something that they had not mentioned to him that happened to him prior to him being like 5. And so it was showing up in the children. So the good thing was it was probably going to pass, and those children were not going to have it beyond the age of 5. But I'm glad now that I did not conceive. That's when I was doing my IUIs that I did not conceive with that sperm. So, um, oh yeah, you had tubal reversal too. There's a whole tubal reversal crew on here too, because Shell, TTC, Bella, um, Verkosha, who is lifelong commitment with the Alexanders, and Genesis, Lovings TV also had. Oh, and it was the Hurt Tribe. Tanya and Ant, she was the tubal reversal sister too. So, um, I was on my daughter and a family friend. I was out with my daughter. A family friend asked what was taking so long to have another baby, not knowing it took us 6 years to conceive. Oh my goodness, that's rough. I'm sorry. Yeah, sometimes it's okay to say nothing, family. Sometimes it's okay to say nothing. All the questions or the pressure. And sometimes I was watching another couple, something keys to, anyway, they just went through their second retrieval. And people have, were saying crazy stuff like, when are you gonna have kids and whatever. Her mom knew, and her mom was there, and I think her sister is a twin. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard. Like, infertility is not for the faint of heart. It will build your character. Hey, Margot. Oh, what's up? Oh my God, the Margot Williams. Okay. Auntie Jeannie told me about your lovely page. Blessings on. Thank you. Oh my God. Hey, oh my God, I haven't seen you in forever. I'm gonna have to call Auntie Jeannie and get your number so we can chop it up. Yes, I'm on here at 49, trying to have a baby, working on it, working it out, pushing it through. Yeah. So there was one I was totally sold on. I fell in love. He was amazing, but I'm CV negative and he's positive, so I can't use him. Are you doing IUI? Because you can use him for IVF. He even looked like my husband. Oh my God. Okay. Oh yeah, you did say IUI, so you can. Okay. Oh wow. Yeah, that is, I mean, if he looks like him, that's like the easiest one. But you know what? God has another plan. So, okay. So the A team, yes, after 6 years for me. Wow. Okay. Sister-in-law's mother is African American and her husband is white. Her mother is African American. Her husband is white. And what is she? I'm so proud of your journey and getting, oh, thank you. Thank you, Margot. She was born white and her mom got questioned if that was her child. Oh, wow. See, people are so messy. People are so messy. But it's something people ask, and I think it's going to go away, like, as we're dealing with sort of all this racial reckoning. Hopefully it will go away. I just think it's a lot for a kid to deal with. Honestly, I just think it's a lot for a kid to deal with. And if we as adults make that decision for our child, that's the one we make, but we have to, we have to barrel through it with them. Unfortunately, we are not at school with them all the time. It can be rough. It can be rough. Oh, justice and liberty. Dealing with the poop throws me off. Any tip on that? What am I missing? Dealing with the poop? Wait, what do you mean? They have a wee wee pad. They just go on. They're little dogs, so it's very, very tiny poop. If it was like a German Shepherd, that would probably throw me off too. I had German Shepherds growing up, but we had a big backyard, and I live in a condo in New York, so they couldn't make it in here. But their poop is not that big. I just grab it off the wee wee pad and throw it in the toilet. It doesn't bother me. We also have a terrace, but honestly, there's one off my bedroom, one off the living room. I just don't want them pooping on my terrace, so I take them outside. Like, if they needed to go number one, it's okay, but I will take them outside. But it's cold, so yeah. I know a Black lady who was pregnant with white babies due to embryo adoption. I think it's going to be harder too. Yeah. So, I mean, it's interesting. And there's a woman on YouTube who she's pregnant now. She adopted a little boy. They're fine. I'm sure it's fine. Holding it down. She has adopted, fostered to adopt two children who happen to be white. They're fine. She's fine. There's nothing going on. I just think it is additional conversations. Like, if you are going into labor as a white woman and a little Black baby pops out, you had to have a conversation with the nurse, the doctor, everybody else before everybody got into that room, right? it's not the end of the world. It's just a conversation, and then it's going to continue to be conversations. And so you just have to be prepared for that. For me, as I have gone through the world having to have conversations, like I went to an integrated school. Most of the time I was the only Black child in school. I just don't want to keep having all these conversations like about my hair, and people want to touch my hair, and you go away to summer camp and they're like, why is your hair curly? And it just is a lot of conversations I didn't want to have. And I'm an introvert. So I just don't want to be in a position where I have a child who looks so different from me by my own doing. If that's what God intended, it's what He intended. If that looks so different from me by my own doing, that there has to be all these conversations. I just want them to have a good life, you know, and I want to shepherd them through their journey here. Um, yeah, I don't want them to be like a symbol of a decision that I made, if that makes sense. Brandy, I just read that. My fertility clinic uses Fairfax, and I can't remember the other one. Okay. I think Fairfax has quite a bit of them, if I remember, and I don't remember all the information they show, but you should have options, and you know, you can put the selection in of what you want. So I did it by appearance, and then I went through. That's why I say narrow it down to 3. At least on California Cryo, you can like heart them into your favorites and then do side by side comparisons, but sleep on it. Like, you don't have to decide today. Do you know what I mean? And then like think about what is important, make a priority list. Like, are the looks more important than the medical? Is the medical more important than the looks? Like, you made a decision about the CMV status. So that is a medical decision. If you wanted to use it, it just exposes you to the possibility of being CMV positive. And so that's a decision you have to decide. It sounds like you already decided it, but I'm just saying theoretically. And so what is important to you in a donor? If it doesn't matter what that donor looks like and you're like, they have to have a master's degree, they have to be a lawyer, their parents can't have any history of X, Y, and Z, then that's what you go with, right? It's a decision you have to live with. So only you know what's important to you. But for me, it was like looks. Because the donors are so young, I wasn't necessarily like tied to education. The child will have me in its life. And so I can tout all the benefits of education. But at the end of the day, if that's not what they want to do, it's not what they want to do. It doesn't mean they won't be successful in life. And I did not finish university until I graduated at 31. So both the donors were younger than 31 at the time of their donation. So I did not say, that wasn't a factor for me to exclude people if they had not graduated from university. So I think you have to just decide like what is important. I would have loved to have had either donor have a dimple, and they didn't. So, you know, it's all good. My daughter has a dimple. I only have one, so I'm in a shadow. I just saw that. Hey, Gal, you made it, girl. You made it. Holding it down. Her kids are also, oh, they're Puerto Rican. Okay, I didn't realize that. I love her channel. I didn't realize they were Puerto Rican. But she shared a story about how she went to the doctor's office with her son, and the nurse was giving her a hard time. Now, she had already adopted them, and they were like, you need guardianship papers, which is not true. Like, she's beyond guardian. She's his mom. Her name's on his birth certificate. And so you have to have those moments, and your child is there, and it just makes it difficult. It's not impossible. I mean, obviously she's very graceful and held herself, but it's still like one of those like WTF moments, you know, like get your life. And so imagine if she had birthed him and that happened. It's like, I don't know. It's just all types of wrong. And the woman who did it, she said it wasn't even like, it was a woman who was supposed to be weighing him. It wasn't even like the front desk. Like, they had already taken her medical card or insurance card or whatever and went through all the stuff. And the woman didn't want to take him back to get weighed in or something. Like, people are crazy. So yeah. African, and my ex-husband is white. So my daughter Justice, hey, is mixed. She didn't get darker in skin tone till she turned 8. Okay. Okay, so there you go. Um, so my female donor is Haitian, and the male donor is of mixed race. I can't even remember, but he's of mixed race. His parents are of mixed race. There's a lot in there. Um, I was asked a lot if she was my child. After a while, it really started to get on my nerves. Yeah, see, I think it's just so inappropriate, and people just don't know how to act right. Like, it's really none of their business. But you're an adult and you can handle it. But imagine if you drop your child off at school, and then the friends get to the child, and is that your mom? how's that your mom? Like, just kind of crazy stuff. I mean, honestly, people said that about me and my mom, which annoyed me. But if you saw my mom and dad, you would question if my mom was my mom before you would question if my dad was my dad, because I look so much like my dad. But I think it's crazy. Even if I'm not her child, why is that any of their, like, how does that change her life? You know what I mean? So, what was it? This is totally random. I saw some show, like one of the talk shows. It was on YouTube though, but it was like a child who was an adult now had been adopted by his grandparents. Like who he thought was his sister was actually his mom. And they never told him because the grandparents raised him as their own child. But it was a little town and the town knew. So one of the friends in high school decided to tell him the truth. And it devastated the relationship with the mom, with his biological mom, who he knew as his sister, and with his grandparents, who he knew as his parents. And it was like a couple years, like 5, 6, and he hadn't spoken to them since. That was nobody's business, you know? And it's not exactly related to this, but I just thought, like, one, obviously, it's a different time and more people will tell them if they're adopted. But people are just nosy. Why does that information matter to you? Like, who is your actual mom? If that person, like, loves you and is raising you, that's all you need to know. Difficult conversations, and I wouldn't want my kids to have them all the time. Yeah. I'm actually getting a book about being a donor, raising a donor conceived child, just like what that's like from other women, because I will have the conversation with my child, like from day one. It's just going to be something we talk about, obviously age appropriate. I'm not going to sit down and talk about sperm and eggs like as soon as they pop out of the womb, but it's just going to be a natural part of the conversation because I don't want it to ever be a stigma. And I don't want it to be unnatural for the child. So, although having said that, having those types of conversations, I'm sure is going to make the child a little fast. You know what I mean? Because they're going to be at school. They will understand at some point around the age of 8, I'm guessing, like sperm and egg and how they actually got here, where their peers may still be thinking they came from a stork. So, but I think that is important. I don't want there to ever be a sense of betrayal of like that I've lied to that child in some way. And hopefully they'll see the YouTube and be like, you know, I loved the idea of you so much and wanted to be your mom so badly that this is what I did to bring your soul into this world. Bring your soul into this world. So hopefully that will make sense to them. And if not, you know, I'll deal with it when it happens. I'll deal with it when it happens. I just don't want it to be, I want it to be an in the house dealing and not like not a badge they have to wear because something mommy wanted. Like every time they go out of the house, they got to talk about it. A lot of things through books. Oh yeah, I love books. That's how I learned a lot. My mom is an avid reader. She read to me from super young. Hey, Boston girl, what's happening? I was a fill-in secretary at her daycare that wouldn't release her to me. Oh my God, I had to call her dad, whom I don't speak to, come and pick her up. Even after showing, wow. You see that type of foolishness. That type of foolishness. Jamie Foxx was adopted by his mom, adopted mother. So by law, she was his sister, which I feel you is no one's. Oh wow. Okay. His mom's adopted mother. Okay. I'm so excited to hear about it. Thank you, Melissa. The foolishness, shaking my head. Yeah, so there are people out there. There are people out there. And that's what I was saying. Even on Instagram, I was like, you know, you got the right one. You come in like, oh, that's not really your egg. Legally, once those eggs were removed, they are 1,000% mine. Any court in the United States is going to uphold that those eggs are mine. And so, whatever you want to say, I'm going to give birth to the child and legally become the child's biological mother. Obviously, we know through DNA tests that's not going to hold true, but from a legal standpoint, and so I'm all for talking about this journey, but I'm not to be toyed with about it too. So people were like, and I think I left one of them on there because it was like maybe she really was confused, but then other people were trying it, and I was like, no, ma'am, I'm not here for it. So it is it's a little taboo. I would say it's a little taboo. And I don't know if it's taboo for everyone, if it's specific to being a woman of color. I think being a single mom by choice is a little taboo in my culture. Like people are very much like, you need to be married, you need to have this. But then I also think then you're tying us back as women, because that means in order, if the rule is only married women can have children, right? If that's the standard that we're holding, and we also know that our fertility drops after 35. So let's create this scenario, this perfect scenario that some people are preaching from the pew. That means you have to find a man before you're 35. So you want to kind of know him. So let's just say you find him by 30 and you know him for, 2-3 years before you get pregnant. But then men get to be foolish because they know you need them for that sperm, right? For that proper appearance. So, and I'm not saying that church men are necessarily doing this. I'm just saying, let's go down this scenario. Then you are making men a much higher commodity than they ever really should be. They're much more valuable now, because you need them by your side in order to be a mom. And so I just don't agree with that. And I think now a lot of women, one, I would say, to prevent that, preserve your eggs. If you are 30 and you think you might ever want to have a child, have a retrieval. And there's lots of ways to do it. A lot of companies, like my company that I work for, covers what they call fertility preservation. They know like our work is grueling. People want to be promoted. It's usually going to happen in the first 30, by the time you're 35, like your promotions, or you want to be on that path. And so you may not want to drop out to have a child. So preserve your eggs. They will pay for your fertility preservation. If not, they have things like the CARE credit card. You can have your interest deferred for 24 months. And so you put it on your card to get it all done. And then you have 2 years to pay it off. Or you can borrow from your 401k, like whatever it is. If you think that you want to have children and you absolutely are tied to the fact that you need a man to do it, at least bare minimum, save your eggs. Save your eggs. Then if you meet a man and it works out, yes, you can do it. If not, and you're like, I don't want to be empty-handed at the end of this, then you can figure out a sperm donor. But guess what? I don't know if you guys see these channels on YouTube. There's a lot of ladies who their partners are having male factor issues. And so there is, I can't think of her name now, but her husband has like 0 sperm. They had to do a Tessie operation. And they ended up, I think they got like 1 or 2, like literally 1 or 2 sperm, where normally you would get millions, after they had to put him to sleep. So sometimes you're going to meet a man, he's a perfect man, and his sperm are not there, or they don't work. So then you're going to have donor sperm. So I don't think like it's the right message to send to young girls, like all of our fate is tied to a man. I just don't think that's the right message. If that is what your belief is, then great, but you better start early. Or you should preserve your eggs if that is what you intend. But I think it also, then you end up with a lot of young ladies who get married early to the wrong one, and then they have children, and then you end up divorced or you end up separated. And then is that what the church wanted? You know what I mean? So I think we just have to be careful about what our message is. We're not on a farm anymore. Well, some of us might be, no offense if you're on a farm, but it's not like the whole country is like, we're out on a farm and you want someone to take your daughter and you give them a dowry and it's like, please take her off my hands. That's not what the situation is. And we have our own full developed lives. And so I don't think we should deny ourselves or define ourselves by this fake requirement that you have to have a man in order to be a mom. You don't. They told me I'm going to get off my soap. So they told me in my clinic, if you give birth to the child is legally yours in Washington State. Absolutely. And in New York State too. It's legally mine. And in New York, it's actually what they call biologically mine by law. Once the eggs were retrieved, they became my eggs. And so then by default, once they were fertilized, they became my embryos. So, yeah. It varies by different states. I do know that even this month, like New York surrogacy was going to become legal. For a long time. You could not be a surrogate in New York. Or in, who was it? There was someone else. There was somebody who had it. I think I linked it in the community. Somebody did it. They had a surrogacy in Michigan, and the state does not recognize it. And so they would not grant the parents, they would not mark them as legal parents on the birth certificate, which left a gap because the woman who had become the surrogate wasn't meant to like take care of these kids. So she didn't have medical insurance for them, and the baby was sick. And then the intended parents could not put them on their medical insurance because they were not listed as a legal parent. So they were in like a loophole. So that is something to be mindful of if you are doing third party reproduction. Like you want to understand the laws in your state. And that's surrogacy, donor egg, donor sperm, donor embryo, you want to understand the laws in your state, because a lot of times we're shipping these things across the country. Like the sperm that I got was shipped from California, right? So I had to understand the laws in California. I had to understand the laws in New York. And then my egg donor, it was fresh, and so they were from New York. But so my lawyer also had to understand the laws in California. Now, default, you don't have to get a separate lawyer if you do, usually with the sperm bank, but you are signing contracts. Those contracts are negotiable. So if you don't like a certain point in the contract, or if it's inferred and not inferred or implied and not explicit, and you want to have the language explicit, you do need to get an attorney and have it rewritten and have them agree to it. In mass, they kind of have like a boilerplate contract. The same with the donor eggs. The original clinic that I was at in California had a contract that I didn't agree with. And so I had another one drawn up, and then we decided not to move forward with that clinic. So you just want to understand the laws around it so that you are protected and your child is protected, from a legal standpoint and from a medical standpoint, because God forbid something is wrong with that child and you cannot get them on your insurance, or make decisions about their medical coverage. Yeah. So because you could say, well, you could probably get them on like state covered insurance or government insurance, but even then, can you if you're not the guardian or if you don't have parental rights? So it just gets a little wonky. You want to understand what's happening in your state. I enjoy coming here because no one in our life knows we're going through. Yes, yes, I'm with you. Finding a man that wants to commit isn't the easiest for Black women. I don't think it's easy for any women, Boston girl, like who wants to not only commit, but commit to be a dad. Right? Because anybody can be like, oh yeah, we'll buy a house together. It's the next level when you're, because parenthood is for life. And so do they want to make that commitment? The child is yours if you give birth to the child. Yes, yes. In Washington. It is in New York too, which is why surrogacy was an issue. So they are changing the laws in order to make surrogacy possible in New York, right? So now that law is going to change that birth alone does not make the child yours. So but they also wanted to protect the surrogates and make sure they were getting a fair rate to be paid, and that they weren't being farmed out like over and over again. So now the law in New York is going to change that birth alone does not make you the mother, which is how they're going to make surrogacy legal. And then there's also, so just so you guys, a lot of the laws regarding, so you guys understand, a lot of the laws regarding reproduction then also bump up against religion, because then when is a life, right? And so then that impacts when abortion is legal in some states. Like you can abort up to 12 weeks because it's not considered a life. But then is it a life if it's an embryo and it's only 5 days, right? And so all of that is kind of intertwined. So when you say like you're not into politics, you would want to be, because politics impacts everything. It impacts your money. It impacts your rights. You would at least want to know if your representative, where they stand on reproductive rights, especially like third-party reproduction or assisted reproduction technology. So even if you're like, I'm using my own eggs, I'm using my husband's own sperm, if you're doing IVF or IUI, now you've come into a realm of assisted reproductive technology, and there are different laws that apply there than if just the two of you guys had sex. And so that's why when you go in, they have you sign all these forms, and you have to decide up front, like if you are doing embryos, before they ever create the embryos, they make you sign a paper. Are you going to keep these embryos after everything is done, or are you willing to destroy them or donate them? You have to make that commitment before they ever create it, because they don't want you. That is legally binding then at that point, right? So it is, that part is like a little bit heady, but it's important to get our heads wrapped around it. Totally understand. I went through the same thing. Oh, thank you, A-team. Married, but if I was single at a certain age, I would totally be a single mom by choice. I wouldn't let marriage stand in the way. Yeah, I don't think I'm with you, Melissa. Well, you know I'm with you, but I just think sometimes it gets a little overrated. And I think our family sometimes doesn't understand our heart when they're like, oh, you need to get married first, or when are you going to get married so you can have a child, not knowing that you may have PCOS, or you may have fibroids, or you may have endometriosis, which I didn't even know how prevalent those things were until I got on this journey. I don't have endometriosis, I don't have fibroid, but just being a part of the TTC community, knowing all this since going on the journey, I learned my daughter has PCOS and like how that all impacts. And then if you are diagnosed at a young age with that and you want to get married, and then you have to tell your potential husband, I may not be able to have kids because I have X, Y, and Z going on. So if there is a man who is marriage minded and wants to be a dad, that may like have him back off, because he's like, I don't know if I'm down for the struggle. It depends. And I'm not judging a man who is or isn't, just be honest. And so everybody can make a decision based on facts, right? But everybody is not down for the cause. Like, and for those of us who have been on this path, infertility is not for the faint of heart. Going through assisted reproductive technology is not for the faint of heart. I've seen so many women, unfortunately, have their relationships impacted by this. I've seen people end up divorced, end up being single parents subsequent to that, even though they went into it with the intention of being partnered. So it is, it's a lot. And I mean, I've been doing it since 17. So what are we, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 4 years. Technically it'll be 4 years in October. Hopefully I'll be pregnant in October. But yeah, so it's like you have to look at all those things. And I think the more that we talk about it, or me talk about it, or other people are willing to talk about it publicly, the more we normalize it and it becomes a conversation. I know like Cynthia on Housewives talked about her fibroids, and someone else, I can't remember, talked about endometriosis, just so people are aware, because some people might have it and be ashamed, and not want to talk about it because this is crooked. I can see it in there. Sorry guys, you're on my knees. I'm in the bed. Some people don't want to talk about it, or they feel shame. And why should you feel ashamed of that? So I think the more that we can talk about it in a positive way, or at least an informed way, then the better it is for everybody going through it. So that way you can get the support you need from your family or from your partner or your girlfriends. They're not saying things to you like, because you have an egg quality issue, are you okay to carry a child? Do you need a surrogate? Or those types of things that can be hurtful. Or during the pregnancy, they left them. That's right. That's right. Because it was so stressful. Oh my God, I saw this. So I have to say, there's some comments. I'm going to get to them. I just want to say this. I saw this thing. My YouTube algorithm knows me very, very well based on what I watch. So I watched this thing from the UK. There were it was called Mums Over 50. And there was a woman who did obviously donor eggs. And her partner at the time, they were not married. She was 57. They lived in 2 different homes, 2 different cities. He was like, if you could have my child, and he was 49. He was 40, although I don't know what he was eating because he looked all of 82. But anyway, he was 49. She was 57. She gets pregnant. The hormones that she's taken are like making her a little, mouthing off and telling him to get that. And whatever it was, she was no longer doting on him, no longer serving him as he imagined. And so he broke off the relationship. And her mom was still alive. And her mom was like, well, I hope she did it for her and not for him. And then she went to a therapist. I mean, I guess she waived her rights. The therapist was like, are you going to go back to him or not? And she was like, I don't know. And so they had to talk about it. She said, listen, if you go back to him thinking that it's going to make things better or whatever, like he has changed his mind. And then he was trying to get her to have an abortion. And let me tell you, they spent lots and lots of money to go through this IVF because they were no longer covered. I think their coverage ends at like 50, the NHS or whatever. So they spent out of pocket. One failed and they had another one. He left her. She thought they were going to get married. And now I won't spoil the end in case you find it. But he left her and she was crying and she was like, she got fired from her job. It was all kinds of foolishness. So I was like, I too am with her mother. I hope she did it for herself. And she had an adult daughter. I think she had 3 actually, but there was one who was in the thing and just thought, oh, he doesn't deserve her. But like that's crazy. They went through all that and it was like, well, was he in love with the idea of like someone carrying his baby, but not like the whole kit and caboodle? Because of course she's acting crazy. She's on a shit ton of hormones. Anyway, that's my little soapbox. Okay. People also do not know their history. Centuries ago, women who couldn't have children had close family members, local women or maids get pregnant with their husband or male. Yes, they did. Those are the original surrogates, actually. Now they call them gestational carriers, where it's like they've gone through IVF and they have like, they could even have the mom's DNA. But they, or the mom's egg and the husband's. But then I just saw this couple. There's a woman on here. She's their surrogate. It's 2 men. And it's one of the husband's relatives' egg and then the other husband's sperm, and she's carrying that. So the original surrogate was using your own egg and the man's sperm, and then giving it back to the couple, and they would do it in private. There are still some countries and cultures today, if the woman cannot get pregnant, the man is allowed to leave her. So I hate that message for our daughters or for other young women, that that's your value. And I think that gets tied up in a lot of our emotions when we can't conceive, this is my job as a woman, am I failing? And I'm not gonna lie, I think that was part of it, of like, for me, somewhere in the back of my head, I thought I should be able to do this. I've already had a child. I have eggs. I think this should happen. It wasn't in my mind. And that's what I'm saying. Like, the fact that donor got 33 eggs and I got one, that just brings it all home to me. We had to sign those papers. Yeah. A good friend who discovered her husband had a mental problem regrets that she didn't use a sperm donor, and go, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so that is the good thing about the genetics test. So I have genetics on both the mom, oh my God, not the mom, on the female donor and the male donor. I did that in a video and I offended somebody because I called the male donor the dad. It's not. And it was unintentional, but it was yeah, you get their medical history, and you get their parents' medical history, and you get their grandparents on both sides, so maternal and paternal grandparents. Fibroids is what caused my miscarriages. Oh yeah, Nicola. I know a lot of women who they've had multiple fibroid surgeries, and then I didn't realize that they can grow back. So some women I'm watching, that's why YouTube is amazing. I'm referring that way because that's where my TV is. And I do watch it on my TV. She had to have them done again. Like, they grew back. She had one and she had to go through all of that again. So that I feel like fibroids should have been talked about in school, so that when people were having symptoms, they would know. And somebody just had, like, in one of the videos, endometriosis, and had never been diagnosed, and got diagnosed by going to the new fertility clinic. So it was the Fry something is their channel. Anyway, yeah, it's crazy. People can be cruel and insensitive. If you want lots of children, especially here in the UK, people assume you're on social benefits and lazy or really selfish. Yay, your TTC baby number 6. You know what? Whatever your heart desires, as long as you can provide for your children, and mentally, physically, financially, and they don't feel like left out or deprived, I'm here for it. Like, I'm a crazy person. I'm really thinking about, I want at least 2. Like, no joke. I want to have the baby, which, if everything goes right, will be born in November. And then 6 months after that, I want to do it again. And then if all that goes well, maybe a year after. But I want to do that. It'll all depend on how well I do during pregnancy. But here's the crazy thing. The maternal fetal, not crazy, interesting scientific data. The maternal fetal medicine doctor, can you guys hear me? The heater turned on. She said the kidney will get better through pregnancy. It becomes more efficient, the one that I have. So I'm like, so it may be less high risk. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how I feel. Anything can happen, but that's where my mind is right now. Hey, Olivia, welcome. I'm so behind, guys. Okay, I'm going to catch up right now. I think you had to sign papers. They didn't call it surrogacy back then. That's right. They sure didn't. We signed all our paperwork 12 days ago, and it looked like we were buying a house. Exactly. There's so much paperwork. It's a legal contract. And that was like, just imagine if you're signing, I mean, the IVF alone, if you've gone through that paperwork is crazy. Then you add third-party reproduction. There's a whole other set of papers for donor sperm, donor egg. There's a whole other set of contracts for that. So, and it's not like, they send it to you for a reason. They don't just sit you down in the office and say, go ahead and sign this. Like, they're expecting you to have somebody review it, or for you to review it thoroughly. It's a legal contract. There's a lot that is required of you and required of them. And so because God forbid, if something goes wrong, that contract is what you argue in front of a judge. If it goes to a judge, they'll probably settle. But, you just want to not stack the deck against yourself. In some countries, because of the stigma, women have used donor sperm or donor egg without telling their husbands. This can create such stealth, common in some parts of Africa. Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, I have a friend, I'm not going to say the country because she's going to be like, girl, why are you telling my business? But that was in her country. Her husband was allowed to leave her if she could not create a child. So I just think it's great. I mean, I'm not saying that countries' practices are crazy. I don't think it's the right message teach our daughters, to teach women. Hey, Kitty, how are you? And then, oh my God, so there's also, have you guys seen these Ancestry DNA where people are doing the DNA test and then they find out their dad's not their dad, and even their dad didn't know? Some of them, their dad did know because they used donor sperm, but some of them, their dad didn't know. And then, I mean, yeah. So, but some of them used donor sperm because the dad couldn't have them and they never told the child. And I don't blame them. This was like 70s, 80s. I mean, even the 90s, I don't know if people were telling them. So, my legs falling asleep. The puppies are on them. I think it's yeah. There's obviously a stigma. I mean, you're not going to be at your neighbor's house and they're like, "Oh, your child looks like you," and you're like, "Well, actually, it doesn't." You know, there's no natural way to bring that up. Or if the husband, they're like, "Oh, he looks so much like the husband," and they're like, "Really?" So yeah, I only had one egg too, so you're not alone. Oh, thank you, Olivia. It messes with the brain, you know. And I was so grateful that that one egg fertilized. But now I realize how far the odds are against even that when you figure about it, 80% attrition rate. Because everybody always tells you, which I know they mean well, you only need one. You only need one. Yeah, I only need one at the end. But most of the time you don't go in with just one. You don't go in with just one. So yeah. But technically, yes, from a very technical sense, you only need one. Feel the same way. My husband is with me 100%, but we spoke with a therapist before going forward, and his main thing is he can't give us a child. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Health class failed us in educating us. Yes, it did. I'm a daughter of a teenage mom, and I thought if a man sneezed on me, hello. Me too. My mom was 17 when she got pregnant with me. Yep, that was it. Like, just keep your legs closed. If you open them, you're gonna get pregnant. But if they sneeze on you, if they look at you too long, girl, you might be knocked up. And health class did not change that at all. I didn't even know what ovulation was. I knew ovulation was a thing. I knew it was a word and that it meant an egg was being released, but I didn't understand all the mechanics of it. I mean, and truth be told, I didn't understand it the way that I do now until 2017 after I had my miscarriage. And I was like, I have to figure out like how this all works, what happened. And that was with my own egg, natural conception, right before my 46th birthday. And they were like, it's a 1 in a million chance of it happening and 1%. And I was just like, didn't really appreciate it because I was like, oh, it happened once, it'll happen again. And if I'm using technology, you know, I thought IVF was a slam dunk, IUI, a slam dunk. Oh, if you're intervention, of course that's going to happen. So, oh my God, I've learned so much since then. Thank you, Olivia. I don't want to tell our child, but I know we have to at some point. Yeah, it's hard. And I debated. I am a queen to me. I debated about that. Should I tell? Should I not tell? And I was like, if I do it, I have to tell. I already had the decision about the donor sperm. Definitely was. I always thought, oh, I'll tell. But then the donor egg, I was like, can we live with this lie? And ultimately, I just thought it could backfire. It could backfire if the child finds out the wrong way and feels like I lied their entire life to them, that our trust would forever be broken. One good one, that's all we need. Yes. Shazers X5s, Shazers by fives. Hey, I hope I'm not saying that wrong. Welcome, welcome. Ever heard of All I Want to Do Is Make Love to You by heart? Yes, that's what it's about. A woman sneaking out to get pregnant by another man because her husband couldn't get her pregnant. Really? Okay, I'm gonna have to look that up. Just look at me. I would get pregnant. Yes, just look at me, right? If you look too long, I swear. It's a miracle I had Cheyenne. I mean, I was young. That was it. I was young. I was 23. So that was really just, nature doing its own work because I didn't know how to track ovulation. I was one of those people that would ask, like, is ovulation 2 weeks before your period or 2 weeks after your period? And like, it's both. You know what I mean? So I was like, how do you know I had no idea how it all worked. I really didn't. And so I used to always be suspicious, like, randomly younger, you see these shows like the Jerry Springer, or no, what is his name? Maury Povich, you're not the father. And I remember being young, like 16, 17, and I had some fast friends. Some of them had kids, and they would be like, trying to figure out who the dad is. And they'd be like, well, because my period started on this day and blah, blah, blah. And now I'm like, so clear. That does not work. That's why people are on these shows saying you are not the father, because once that egg is released, all bets are off. Whatever sperm gets to it first is it. It's not like the day you had sex. It's how many sperm were in the tract when the egg was released, because sperm can live up to 5 days. 5 days! Nobody told me that in school. It can live up to 5 days. The egg can live for 24 hours. So if you had sex with Tom on Monday, if you had sex with Dick on Tuesday, and you had sex with Harry on Wednesday, and you ovulated on Thursday, all bets are off. Tom, Dick, or Harry could be the father. Nobody explained that to me. I want to go back to 5th grade and talk to all the children. You think they'll allow me if I just show up at people's school and start explaining it to them? Oh my God. YouTube it with the lyrics. You will never hear it the same. I am gonna have to, Melissa. I'm gonna have to. Matter of fact, let me copy this so that I don't forget. Wow. That is crazy. That is crazy. And remember, like, kings could divorce you, like could divorce their wife if they couldn't provide them they could cut their heads off. Meanwhile, it could have been the king's fault, like he couldn't have had any sperm. Or he could have been like had some sort of male factor situation going on and not know. So it was like, it's all, and even, some men are like, oh, all you do is give me girls. Meanwhile, it's only the man can decide the sex of the child. Only the man. The woman has nothing to do with it. So it's just like, science is amazing. You better get you some. Yeah. So there you go. I remember hearing that when I was little, and I just thought, oh, auntie, give him some boys. What you waiting on? Had no clue. Okay. Do you believe parents should tell their child if they came about? I do think they should tell them if they came about via IVF. I think it opens up the conversation about conception, especially for female children, because if mom has a fertility issue, there's a higher chance that daughter will have a fertility issue. And also, the older mom is when she has her child, well, if it's her own egg, the more likely the female daughter is to have it, because they're coming from an older egg. So they're more likely to have fertility issues. But I think they should talk about it. And I think that's how you get into the conversation about things like endometriosis and PCOS and fibroids, or like things that are wonky. I think when we give things names and words, it takes away their power, instead of like this mysterious thing happening in the middle of my belly. I mean, simple things like even telling your child that if they're like, oh, there's a baby in mommy's tummy. No, mommy, there's a baby in mommy's uterus. Like just those little things, right? I mean, obviously, depending on the age of the child. Like, I don't think you should be telling a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old that. Like, I think you can use the word uterus. Who's going to be offended if grandma comes over and she's like, mommy has a baby in her uterus? Is grandma going to be offended? Do you think she can't pronounce it, can't understand it? Like, it's just a thing to have, because then later the little girl might be like, I have a tummy ache. Oh my God, I might have a baby in my tummy. Or I remember, I don't know if maybe me and my friends were ratchet, like eating watermelon seeds and thinking it could grow and that you would have like a watermelon in your tummy, that it would grow, like things just grew in your tummy. It's these things. So I think it makes it harder when you have these kind of images that maybe my mind wasn't as open when I got to 5th grade and had these like sex classes, right? And then I remember even in high school, we had them. And obviously our teacher, like where I went to school, there were already people who had kids. There was a daycare in my school. Like that's how many kids there were. So she was kind of already talking to people who had already had kids and kind of judging them. So maybe like she just cut to the chase, like you're already having sex, so you know how babies happen, but not necessarily. Like I tell you, I did not understand ovulation fully until 2017. And it makes all the difference in the world. I mean, and I guess I went my whole life without knowing, so it's not the end of the world if you don't know. Just what a powerful thing if you do. What a powerful thing, like just to take control of your own fate. I had my first 2 when I was teen. After I was told I couldn't have children, I was told I had endometriosis, probably stage 1. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so one of the girls I was watching, never diagnosed, just found out it's stage 4. Last IVF, I had 26 eggs, 2017. Oh wow, 16 fertilized, PG tested on day 7. I was told none were viable. I was 42. Hindsight, I wish I'd never done PGT. I'm staying away from PGT with donor. Is that unsmart? I don't think it is unsmart. Do what you feel is best. And it's changed a little bit now, because now they'll look at eggs and see if they have if they are a degree of mosaic, like the level of mosaicism, we now know that some mosaic embryos will survive. But keep in mind that they're testing the trophoblast, the outside of what the embryo is, and the trophoblast will eventually become the placenta. So it's not directly attributable to what's happening with it, what will become the embryo. So take it with a grain of salt. Unless there's a genetic issue, right? If you are predisposed and your husband's predisposed, like who is that? Bun in an Oven here on YouTube? I don't know if she's still making videos. Like they had a genetic issue. So 1 in 4 of their embryos had a chance of having it. So that made sense for them to do it, to look for that specific thing. Or if you're older, and obviously there's we know chromosomal issues occur more in older women. I think there's a case to be made for, but I think you're fine. I mean, I'm doing what you're doing, so that's why I'm agreeing with you, girl. Hey Sabrina, I'm glad you caught me live too. Yay, we over here chatting. Do I want to give birth through pushing or a C-section? I would love to push the baby out. However, whatever gets the baby safely here. I'm not going to be one of those who's like, I have to push it out. But I pushed Cheyenne out obviously many moons ago. But it'll depend on the condition of the baby. And Cheyenne was in distress when we pushed her out. So it could have ended up in C-section, but luckily she came quickly. I did it with no pain medication. No matter what, I don't plan to do it with no pain medication. Like I'm not going in it like, oh, I have to do, just because why? We'll see what I can tolerate. But I just remember at that end, like holding my legs up and my legs shaking, and that tremor. I was very, very tired, and I wasn't prepared for all the pushing, even though I had gone through birthing class. Like I think they had to give me oxygen. I was getting, I was hyperventilating, where I was dizzy from like trying to grab my breath and push. Like I felt like I couldn't fill my lungs back up. It's good that you ladies are well educated about this today, because your tool could be used as education to your children and allow them to ask you questions. Yes, I'm now a firm believer in sex education at home. I did not do that with Cheyenne, unfortunately, because I thought, well, I got, educated at school about it. Somebody at school will tell her like what an idiot I was. So now even like things like PCOS and other stuff, we talk about it freely. But I do wish I had been better educated or took it upon myself to educate myself. I'm not even going to blame the school system. Like I should have researched it. How long has Google been around? My family is very fertile. How did this happen? My last pregnancy was totally a surprise. One time. It only took one time. But again, I was in my 20s. There you go. And like the ironic part is I like planned for Cheyenne, but I don't know what I was planning. I didn't know about ovulation. I guess my plan was to have sex until I got pregnant, and it worked. My older sister told me that if I ate a seed, that fruit would grow inside. She told me broccoli was baby trees, so I didn't eat them because I thought a tree would grow me. Oh my God. Okay, good, VC. I'm glad I'm not the only one. I swear I thought I could grow a watermelon. Those little black seeds. Now I think they make seedless watermelons, but then we would be like, don't eat them. Don't eat the seeds. This journey has inspired my oldest daughter to go to school. Oh, wow, to be an OBG. Do you watch Dr. Mama Jones or Mama Dr. Jones? I love her. She's an OBGYN on YouTube. And I guess she's a YouTuber is the easiest way to say it. And Mama 4. Is that it? Mama Dr. Jones? Dr. Mama Jones. I'm missing a word in there, I think. Anyway, she does like different stuff on here. I catch myself giving fertility classes. Me too. I'm happy to do it though. Like I want us all to have this information. How empowering it is, right? But then I'm like too, because I guess I'm old enough to like overhear adults' conversations. Like I was the oldest child, so I think they just were like, whatever. But people would like my uncles would talk about, oh, she's trying to trap you with the kid and blah, blah. So did he know about ovulation? Did she know about ovulation? Because like they would be tracking women's periods. So they must have known something. And I remember I dated someone who was an old school who like wanted to, which even though we were using protection, I don't know why, but he was always like, where is your period? I just thought it was weird. I have issues. I always had like, I dated a lot of daddy figures. So somebody knew about it. But anyway, I didn't. Let me just say that. There is a channel on YouTube, Sarah. She's going through IVF after battling endometrial cancer caused by endometriosis, and she's single. I love watching her as well. Oh, is she single mom by choice? She just had a transfer and it didn't work. Now she's doing an ERA. I can't remember her name, but she's super cute. She has a little dog. She has long dark hair. And when she does her videos, it's like there's a white floor and behind and a couch and like a fireplace. Sarah, I can't remember if that's her name or not. Lisa, let me know if that's her. Like she just did her transfer. She had a pregnancy, like there was something on the pregnancy test and then it went down, which that makes me nervous to do. What do you guys think about pregnancy tests before beta? Because now I went and looked at my stash. I have a whole bunch of pregnancy tests. And then I was like, maybe I'll only do clear blue because that's 50 or more. Because remember with Applejack, I had a super low. So that way, if it doesn't hit on the clear blue, then I don't have it in my mind that I'm pregnant. Opinions. I need your opinions. I'm thankful my journey has inspired her. I was so afraid she was going to judge me. Oh, I'm glad she didn't judge you. Hyperventilating. Thank you, Olivia. I never had a vaginal birth. You had 4 C-sections? Did they ever let you try for a VBAC? Kitty, my fear is testing before beta. Me too. Me too. And then, yeah, especially after the experience with Applejack, like I tested, it wasn't there. Then a week later, after I had a negative beta, or it was like a low, they told me it was like a 1, then I tested and it was like a very faint line. And then I think I feel like it got over 50, but barely. So part of me kind of wants to test. I've been watching videos. Part of me kind of wants to test, but again, I'm like, maybe I should only use the clear blue digital, because it has to be at least 50. Where like the little Walmart ones and the Amazon ones will start. Some of them will hit at 10, so it could be 10 positive and then less. Before beta, I like to do the at-home ones for fun, but ultimately I only tested the beta. But see, then if you had a negative, because you did it 3 times, 4 times, A-team. If you had a negative, how did that make you feel? Like, do you feel like it was better to wait? I have 2 natural and 2 emergency. Oh my goodness. Yikes. Yikes. Sandra, I tried not testing before beta, but gave in the day before beta because it was killing me. Okay, and what kind of test did you use, Sandra? Did you use like a clear blue, or did you go with a lower one? The A-team is saying clear blue. Yeah, I already have them, so it's not like a matter of wasting money. I have them. They're under my bed in a box. I also have some of the early, the first response, FRER. So I'm like debating. I drove myself crazy doing that. Pregnancy tests are no joke and crazy expensive, and there was always a faint line. Yeah, I've been watching some. And then it's like you get line eyes. Is it a line? Is it not a line? I see some people on here like, I can see the line, but I know you can't see the line. And I'm like, I just don't want to do that to myself. Or I don't know. I did some crazy stuff. Like I took a picture, then I wanted to see it in reverse, black and white. Like, come on, sis. Equate digital. Okay, Equate does it early. Yeah. But you had a positive and then you never looked back. No choices for me. They never gave me a choice. Oh, what do you mean? They just said you have to do C-section after the first one? Or was the first one an emergency and that then you just had to do it scheduled? Yeah, I'm not trying to have a C-section, but I'm not opposed to it. I'm not going to be, especially I think because I just watched this other video where this young lady, the day before her due date, lost her child. And not to say that it had anything to do with the C-section. I'm just like, whatever it is to get the baby out safely, I'm okay with that. I would hope to have a natural. Because I think it just makes it more complicated for the C-section, it makes it more complicated for the C-section, especially if you're coming home alone. Yeah, just like getting around and whatnot. But I'm gonna be prepared. I'm doing food and meals, and Cheyenne will be here probably, but Cheyenne has her own life. I can't just be like, come and be my live-in nanny. Although someone was saying, who was that? A friend at work. She hired somebody to come in 3 days a week, so I might do that. We'll see. But obviously it makes everything harder with the C-section because you're recovering. Black and white, reverse, neon, all that things we do. Yes. Oh my God. I downloaded an app and basically it was just reverse. And I was like, I can do that on my iPhone. So I was like, reverse, negative. Yeah. Neon, everything. You name it. I was squinting and trying to see a line. I used Clear Blue in first response. Clear Blue said 3 weeks pregnant. The miscarriage was devastating. Yeah. Yeah. So Olivia, did they try like with Cheyenne? What they did with me, they gave me Pitocin, and then they said if I don't go they gave me Pitocin and they broke my water, I think. Or maybe my water's it's been so long. For sure they gave me Pitocin. and my waters broke. It was like 11:30 in the morning. I had her by 5:30. I had her at 5:31 that evening. But did they, when you say you wouldn't go into labor, like they attempted to like get you into labor and it wouldn't happen, so they did a cesarean? I mean, that might happen to me. I'm open to it. If that's what happens, I mean, I'm still getting faint lines on the Walmart 88, so they are definitely sensitive. Oh, wait, from this last time, Sandra. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yikes. Are they talking about doing a DNC or what are they thinking they want to do? After having the tubal reversal, I don't want to get cut like that again, honestly. Yeah, I don't blame you. Even on Pitocin. Oh, wow. Okay. I had 2 C-section and 2 natural. I would choose natural. Oh, wow. Okay. Okay, Mika. They induced me, but nothing happened. Did you have a cesarean? I don't remember. With Nyla, did you have a cesarean 18? They broke my water and still nothing. Yeah, no pain. Wow. Okay. Yikes. Contractions, but you couldn't feel them. Oh, like on the monitor. Were you dilated? Um, I just watched somebody there in Houston. I think it's the Jackson something. She gave birth to her second set of twins and she delivered them naturally. I was like, whoa, that's a lot. Yeah, C-section. Okay. So they induced the labor, nothing happened. So then you went into emergency C-section. Okay, I have to go back and look. Did you post your births? Oh, it would be on the other channel though. Are you bringing videos over from your other channel? Like, did you rebrand it and keep the videos? I want to go back and watch that. 2 centimeters. Oh my goodness. Wow. Does anybody watch the Midwife show, the UK show? I think they did one in the US too with Jamie Lee Curtis. It's not as fun because the midwives are different, but oh, I would love to have a good old-fashioned midwife in there. I definitely am gonna have a doula. I don't know about a midwife. I can't have a baby naturally. I had 2 sections back to back if I had 2 babies. Oh wow. Because I know sometimes they do a VBAC, vaginal birth after cesarean. But I think it depends on like how the cut was and what happened. Remember, I know a lot of like my mom's friends, associates, whatever. They had the old school cut where they used to just like cut you what is it, vertically up, and it would look like open heart surgery. I'm like, why? And they would have like a keloid. I'm like, why on earth would they cut? They don't, for the most part, they don't do that unless a woman already has a scar. They'll do it that way, in a previous incision. But normally they cut it. And I have a bikini line cut, obviously not through my uterus, but that's how they remove my kidney. So I have a line like right, like if I had a bikini on, it would be covered across my pelvic area. I think I would end up having another C-section again. Probably. Did you recover well from? I had a midwife. Best experience ever. Okay. See, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I think I want a midwife. I think I want a midwife. I know someone who had I think she said a midwife and a doula, but I don't remember. She had a C-section, so I think only the doula was in the room with her. But just that whole experience, I think. I'm already, like I think I've mentioned a million times, high risk. I've been doing my blood pressure. This blood pressure monitor has been giving me high readings, so I'm not a fan of it. Unless I'm like sitting totally calm, but I'm always doing a million things. So anyway, I have to take my blood pressure every day. I have to take the aspirin. Um, I'm gonna have to see the nephrologist once a month. They're going to be looking for protein in my urine. I'm going straight to the maternal fetal medicine, so I won't ever have like a regular OBGYN. I was watching Michelle Burr, and like she has her regular OBGYN, and then every so often she goes to the high risk because she has gestational diabetes. But I'm going right to the Dr. Lasala, the maternal fetal medicine doctor. So every visit will be with that doctor. So I have a bikini C-section. Okay. So we have the same scar, even though obviously mine is not through my uterus, but it's the same. I also had my tubes reversed in 2008. Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. Good for you, Olivia. I've been pregnant many times, but all of them were chemical. Ugh, that's the worst. I got the bikini cut also, but not much feeling is still numb to this day after 14 years. Oh, Mika. So I just realized, oh, sorry, girls. I'm clapping and the puppies are like, what happened? I just went for laser hair removal because I was like, oh, I want to do that before I'm pregnant. But I only was doing the bikini area because the lady was like, can you take your underwear off? I was like, mm-mm. She'd already done my underarms. That thing was so hot. There was no way that she was putting that on the lips of my hoo. I was like, no, ma'am. No. That's a no. That's a no. Anyway, so it was sensitive on the leg crease, right, on right and left side. But then she rolled it across the top under my belly button up through where that the incision is, and I hardly felt it. Like I felt a little bit of it, but I hardly felt it. So I realized I never got back full sensation. And it hasn't bothered me since like that. But on the sides, like that has been, it was like itchy and irritating. I had to put cream on it. So I did not realize like how much sensitivity I lost there until I went and got that laser hair thingy. But I mean, I don't necessarily miss it. It's not like a lot of stuff is touching there that I need to have the sensation there. And it's above. So below the incision, it's fine. So I don't know. I guess it depends on like how they cut the nerves or whatever. But I do have feeling there. It's just not as sensitive. Like I'm touching it right now. I know you guys can't see. I'm such a weirdo. But I can feel it. Like I feel more than pressure. And like if I poked a pin randomly, I would feel it. But it's not as heightened. Because that laser was on fire when she was doing the right and the left side. Fire. Now that you have me wondering, I did IUI to conceive my daughter, and she is half Latino and came out totally white. I wonder if they were like, what in the world is going on? Oh my God. Hey, B family. Probably not. I think on the spectrum, someone could be totally light and totally dark. I just think like if you're white and your baby comes out, you're white and your white husband is there and your baby comes out Asian, or vice versa. If you're Asian and your Asian husband's there and you give birth to a black child, I just think it's awkward. Like, yeah, you could talk about it. I mean, listen, I just watched a thing today where it was a transgender man and woman having a child. The transgender man, I delivered the baby. And it was like, it caught my eye because it said like pregnant woman detained for being accused of shoplifting. And then they show, or pregnant person, I think is how they listed it. And then the pregnant person had a beard and told the story of like they wrestled him to the ground and he's like, please be careful, I'm pregnant. And they were like accusing him. And so a female police officer lifts up his shirt and then he said like everybody visibly gasped and stepped back. So, and then they took us to the delivery room and the wife was, I hope I'm saying this right, guys. Sorry. The wife was transgender female, was there. The transgender male was in the delivery room and obviously very uncomfortable with being so exposed and having the baby delivered. But they were there and everybody on the team, obviously they were talked to before they went in there and they were cool. So I'm not saying it's not possible. Like, sure, you can be black and give birth to a white baby. And as I think you just have to set the expectations or be, you know, white and give birth to an Asian baby. I think you just, it's some talking. It's some extra talking you got to do. If you don't mind me asking, do you plan on having one more child or will you more than one? Yes. So Sabrina, I do plan to have more than one. Want to have this one. I'm saying this one like it's already here. Name it and claim it. The one that's due in November, and then 6 months after, I want to try again. Hopefully IVF works right, which is why I want to try 6 months. In case it takes more than one try, or if one is unsuccessful. So it is. I'm getting really congested, and my tea is cold. So yes, more than one, God willing. But you know what? We need more than one embryo for that to happen. So we still have a lot of prayers. Have me wondering. Okay. I just lost my left tube 4 years ago. Oh no. Oh, from a chemical or from an ectopic? My scar itches still. How long ago? When was the last time your scar was? When? Or no, the incision. When did you have your incision done? Scar tissue. Yeah, me too. I've been using this cream. It's like post-surgical peptide cream, not on the scar, but on the other things that have been irritated. But I did like rollers and stuff because I wanted it to be flat, and it's like super flat. You can visibly see it, but you can't feel the scar, which I was worried it was going to be like it looked like a zipper at first when they did it. This was in 2006. My plan is one more try naturally, and if that doesn't work, I'll go to IVF. I'm praying for you, Olivia, that it works. My right tube is closed on me, so I feel, oh no, Olivia. I'm a queen too, your right tube closed. After your tubal reversal, I lost feeling on my C-section scar. February 2018. Okay. Wow. Bye, Olivia. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate the prayers with the laser hair removal. Is it permanent? It's meant to be permanent, but you have to have more than one. So I don't even know if I'm going to go back again. I paid for 6 rounds, but the acupuncturist was telling me, Dr. Clara was saying, once you start your transfer hormones, it's not good to do it. But she said to confer with the technician. And you can't do it in pregnancy. So you have to have 6 treatments. It's a little less each time. So the idea was I thought I would have time to get it all done. Things just started moving fast with the IVF, faster than I thought, I guess. I'm just so used to like delays. And so I just, for whatever reason, made other plans. And so, yeah. Yeah, but I went, it was a place like down on 42nd Street. It was quick, but it was hot. It was hot, hot, hot. So it stayed open for 2 years. May last year, it was closed. Okay. Did you try anything like they have those teas and everything else? Or is it, are they saying it's closed permanently? Or do you even want it open? Let me ask you that. Like, you might not even be concerned about it. So, yeah. How long have we been on here? We've been on almost 2 hours. I'm going to go for 10 more minutes. And then we'll say goodnight. For everybody who's hung out and has to go, thank you for checking in on me. Thank you for your prayers. We are on day 3 for the embryos. So we'll know how they're doing. Is that right? Thursday was 1, Friday was 2. Yeah, day 3. We'll know how they're doing. We won't know until Tuesday because of the holiday. So that's actually day 6. And we'll know how many made it to day 5 or how many made it to blastocyst. And then we'll get the final report. I think it's the end of the 7th. It might be the morning of the 8th, but we'll know by then. And then I'm waiting on cycle day 1. So once cycle day 1 happens, I will go in for my baseline. And then we'll start the estradiol and start working on the lining. I'm going to acupuncture every week from now on until transfer. So Thursday, I go back, and then it'll be every Thursday. So, but we're teetering now, depending on, because I thought my cycle would have started. So we're pushing back the start date. So the baby it might be like Thanksgiving instead of November 14th. It just depends. And honestly, I was like, I have some leftover progesterone tablets. I'm like, should I give myself progesterone for 3 days and then stop it to force the cycle? But I don't know if I want to do that yet. So we'll see. I'm going to give it until next Thursday. I just feel like that's kind of thirsty. I'm like, just trust the process. Please trust the process. Stop messing with stuff. But I'm just being honest. Like, I've had that thought. Oh, thank you, A-Team. Yes, everybody, please hit the thumbs up on your way out. We got 45 thumbs up. We got 59, and a couple more of you hit the thumbs up. I would appreciate. It's a small way to help your girl out. I appreciate you. I want it open, but left side is flowing great, but have to take letrozole to ovulate on the left side. Hey, Bitsy, thank you. Hit that thumbs up, everybody. We're at 49. If we can get to 59 on your way out, that would be great. 10 more of you if you could hit that thumbs up button. Yes. Okay. So, yeah. I've read, and there's been studies like on is it NCBI? One of the places that even if you ovulate on one side, the egg can go over to the other side, but obviously it's best if you have both open. But I know I don't know if you watched Lifelong Commitment with the Alexanders. Like, hers have been closed after her reversal, and they removed one. And she has 2 children now. They're like less than 12 months apart, I think. And so it happened. So I'm praying for you. I found out after reversal, one of my tubes was calcified. Oh no. Wait, so it was like hardened. They couldn't tell that before the reversal? So you could have just gone straight to IVF then without the reversal. Or did you just wanted to try naturally first? One time I ovulated on the same side 2 months in a row. That can happen too. Yeah, that I learned. So I always thought, oh, it's right side, left side, right side, left side, but that's not always the case. I learned that through doing the IUIs. It's like whichever side gets the dominant follicle. It's not necessarily the same side each, or the alternate side each time. But they also do float around to the other side and can be caught by the other fallopian tube. Yeah, because there are times, like, they've done studies, obviously they're in women's uteruses a lot more, so they've seen it, like a woman, they've confirmed via ultrasound that she had a dominant follicle on the right side, ovulated on the right side, but the right tube was closed and she still ended up being pregnant. So that happened because that egg floated over to the left tube. So, oh, it calcified after the reversal. Okay. I did 4 months straight on right side, and that's the side that's closed. And I just broke it. Oh, so you did 4. So you had it in reverse. Okay. Yikes. So when it's coming on the right side and they know the right side is closed, do you cancel the IUI and go back to like square one? That just sucks. I'm so sorry. Ah, that's awful. Yeah, and now I know, like I never really had a chance with IUI. If I would have understood all that, what I know now, I would have not gone to IUI. I would have gone straight to IVF. And at least I feel like that would have really given my own eggs a shot, because I had to come to donor eggs mentally first, but at least like 46, I had just been pregnant at 45 and had the loss, but at least I would have had a better chance if I would have went straight away to IVF. We would have known what I was working with, right? So if I would have only had like 5 retrieved or whatever, wishful thinking, then I would have kind of known and made different decisions. But yeah, I would not. And the insurance didn't cover it. So that should have been my first clue. After 35, they don't cover IUIs because it's more difficult. So TK Singleton, you never did IUI. So did you go straight to IVF? Yeah, I wish I wouldn't. I mean, I don't regret my journey. I am where I am, but like my today self would go back and tell my 2017 self, just go for IVF. And I had coverage. So I just figured I'm 39, so why play? That's right. Yep. I honestly, like, it was hubris. It was hubris. I just didn't know any better. I just thought I was special, I guess, because I had just been pregnant. So I was like, well, of course the sperm can find the egg. And little did I know. Like, I didn't understand about the zona pellicuta and like the hardening of the outer shell, and that it was more difficult, that it was unlikely that the egg that released had a chance of, at least if you have multiple eggs, you have a chance of like one of them being chromosomally normal or creating an embryo, but you just had the one. We obviously, when I did have the one from IVF, we don't know if it was chromosomally normal. The assumption is it wasn't, and that's why I miscarried. But the doctor's not taking any chances. So she's switched up the protocol. That's why she wants a progesterone and oil and all that, right? She's like, the stuff that we did before, we're not going to play around. So, and that was like, I was scared to do the PIO last time. So, she went in my direction, and now she's like, listen, lady. And of course I'm like, yes, yes, ma'am. So it is, straight IVF. Yeah. Good for you. I wish I went straight to IVF too, had 4 failed IUI. Yeah, it's a lot of time and heartache. I remember like feeling so hopeful too with those pregnancy tests. I did a live because I was a new YouTuber, and I didn't realize like when people said live pregnancy tests, they weren't live. So that was hard, like right after having the fail and just being there and like not really having a moment to myself. But yeah, it is a lot of time, a lot of stress, leaving for the monitoring appointments, like leaving work, going back, high stress situation, every little time. What does this mean? My lining is this, my eggs are this. However, I will say the benefit of that is I had a lot of time to do research. When you have a failure, you want to figure out why. And so I do, and I got to research. And so that is how I got to be the fertility fairy godmother. My FET is in March. Yay. Okay, TK Singleton. Mine might be 2 at the rate I'm going. If Aunt Flo doesn't start soon, mine might be 2, but hopefully it's in February. But yeah, we'll all be having the late 2021 babies. I think March is the cutoff. I haven't looked at the cycle. When I looked at the calendar, I was like, based on everything I know, if I conceive when I think I am, I'll be November 14th. But I haven't looked at like what's the last date to conceive in 2021. And even all that is kind of malarkey, right? Because I could come early, it could be late, it could be whatever. The baby's going to do what the baby's going to do. Whichever way it gets here, I will take it. If I have to like have a preemie and nurse it, or if it's late or whatever, like I just want my take home baby. But I'm sending you baby dust, TK Singleton, for a successful FET. What are you doing to prep? Are you doing IVF or doing anything else? As you know, I lost my weight. I'm now down to 145. So that's the other thing. If the longer it's delayed, the longer I have time to lose weight. So that's good. I wish I knew about egg retrieval earlier. What do you mean, Bitsy? You didn't know you could, like as younger in life, you wish you knew you could just retrieve your eggs and store them? Is that what you mean? No PIO for me. Woohoo. So what are you doing, Sandra? Are you doing the suppositories? TK asked for PIO. March will have December. Okay, so March might be the last month. Okay. That makes sense. If February gives me a November 14th. I just wasn't sure of like what's the cutoff. Is all of March in December, or is it like March 21st is going to be January? You know what I mean? Birthday is November 5th. Oh, okay. Agreed. Yeah. So Sandra, why no PIO? Are you doing suppositories? I have not watched your channel lately. Did you have another transfer since the loss? Oh, now I'm gonna go look real fast. Because I know you have more embryos, and I watched the other one. My original single mom by choice donor egg. Oh no. Okay. So 5 days ago you have this. I'll go and watch it. But you are doing another one after miscarriage. Okay. With another FET. Okay. But you're still getting positives on the test. So how is that gonna work out? And then you're just gonna do, but when you were pregnant with Pebbles, you did didn't you do PIO? Or did you do the endometrium? I conceived my son March 17th. He was born December 16th. Okay. Only suppositories. Okay. In my FET cycle now. Okay. Oh, look at you. Yay. So where are you? I have to watch the video. I'm sorry. I'll go watch it. You guys join Sandra's channel if you haven't seen it. Sandra Wiley. She is a single mom by choice, donor egg. She has one daughter who just turned 2, Pebbles, and she's doing it again. Unfortunately, she just had a miscarriage, and she's trying another FET. Or she's in her FET cycle right now. Acupuncture, weight loss, warming food, etc. Yes. Yes. It's less than 5. Oh, you already follow her. Okay. Yay. So it's me, Sandra, and uniquely Ursi. Ursula is her name, but uniquely Ursi, who are getting ready for FET, or Sandra's doing her FET, but who are doing donor egg, single mom by choice journeys. Oh, you already follow her too. Okay. You already guys up on game. So yeah, that's good. I'm here for it. Yeah, I'm just ready to get this show on the road. And I just feel good about it going into it. Like I didn't feel great about the last transfer. And especially I think because it was fresh and I was just like coming out of oh my God, what am I doing to my hair? I just saw that. Sorry. I'm trying to look at you guys, so I'm not necessarily looking down at myself. But yeah, that wasn't flattering. Going after the FET, just trying to stay. I mean, it wasn't an FET, it was a fresh transfer, ET. Going after that, trying to stay positive, and like it was 3 days later. I didn't feel great about it. I'm not gonna lie, I was hopeful, prayerful, but I didn't feel great about it. And this one I feel really, really good about. And so we'll see. Obviously, my lining has to grow. All that fun stuff. But I'm also doing warming foods. I've been adding cinnamon to everything. I have ginger in there that I grind up. I put it in my soups and my bone broth. I add ginger to my coffee. Yeah, doing everything that I can to get ready. I don't know. I just feel good about it. I feel like this is it. So we'll see. SCH, subchorionic. Oh, I remember this. Hematoma, is it subchorionic hematoma? SG. Yeah, hematoma. I feel behind too because I'm getting older and I've yet to start my TTC. What do you need to start, Sabrina? What's going on? How was the donor election process? Hi to Kanya. B family. Good night, B family. Thanks for hanging out. Please hit the thumbs up on your way out. Pretty please. A team had a hematoma too. So to Kanya, hopefully I'm saying that right. My donor selection process, my final donor selection process was at Columbia. So I went and this was the third, that's why I'm saying final. So I had a meeting with my, what do they call, donor coordinator, and gave her, like, we went over what was important to me in a donor. And so basically there's a list, of priority list. The more things you have on the list that are like top priority, the narrower the ability is to find a donor. So I had things that were high priority, and then I had some things that were nice to have. Like a dimple was nice to have. College degree was nice to have, because I feel like those were not make or break situations. And I was blending it off, and I'm assuming you're talking about the egg donor. So that's what I'm talking about. Hopefully that's what you're asking, because I think this is titled egg donor or something. Anyway, so then we went through that list, and they don't show pictures of the donor. What they do is celebrity lookalikes. And so they sent me the donor. It was the first one they sent me, and they told me who she looked like. And I was like, yeah. And so that was really it. I didn't have to go round and round with multiple donors. With the very first place that I went, it's a place in California. I went obviously online, and I went through photographs of the actual donors, which is a little creepy, because they're adult women. Whereas when you do the male donor, they're all children. So it's just a mind game of like, oh my God, am I ever going to see this woman like on the streets of New York or anywhere, like in an airport, and be like, it's a little creepy. Anyway, so with that one, I looked at pictures, and they go through everything, like their measurements, eye color, whatever. They don't give the full medical history on the profiles there, where Columbia gave me the full medical history. These patients or these women are also affiliated with Columbia. So it's kind of like if you buy a condo, like the agent was the agent for the buyer and the seller, I guess. So I was their patient, and the woman was also their patient, if that makes sense. Whereas like the one in California, she would have had her own doctor helping coordinate the retrieval. I mean, I'm not saying it right, because Columbia, she had her own doctor too. She had her own team. Like she wasn't Dr. McConnell's patient, but her team was a team of Columbia professionals versus a team somewhere else, if that makes sense. And so that was a little bit, and they wanted $16,000 upfront to do the matching, like before we ever knew if we could even move forward, which that seemed a little wonky. And I was like, will I be able to get the money back if she's not a match? And the answer was, it wasn't a clear no. They were like, we will do our best to find another donor for you. So that was like, eh. And then there are places where the eggs are frozen, and you can buy half dozen of those eggs. And you get a profile. Again, it's of the woman as an adult. One of them actually, they had the woman as an adult and as a child, which is a little bit cuter, because then you can imagine like what your child's going to look like. But they had already done their egg selection, and they didn't even want to do like a match profile or have the woman talk to the doctor. I was still over at Share, which I just thought was weird. Like he wanted to ask questions about her cycle, and they're like, why do you need to talk to him? So that was a whole other, but those were significantly cheaper too. And I think that's why, because they cut out the middleman. Like you're not really having anything to do with that donor. That donor has left their eggs and moved on to do whatever they were going to do with their life. Like, and so then that company is taking those eggs and they're selling them like chicken eggs. I don't know why. Dozen, half dozen, and then you buy a package. And some of these places have packages like guaranteed. So like if you buy half a dozen, they're guaranteed you'll get at least one embryo. I can't remember if it's embryo or living child, but they have these kind of guarantees. And so that way, if you don't get a child from that or an embryo from that, whatever their thing is, then you get another half dozen. Does that make sense? Hopefully that's the question you were answering, and the egg donor selection process. Also, did you ever go to RMA? I did not go to RMA for donor egg IVF. I started off at RMA doing IUIs. So I was at RMA New York first. That was my very first fertility clinic back in 2017. And I have 2 videos about my experience with RMA. I think if you go on my channel and you just look at or I guess you are on my channel. If you go in where the videos are and there's like a little search glass, if you type in RMA, they'll pop up. It's a little complicated. I am in same-sex relationship, and I am working on buying a home for us. Since the pandemic, I feel stuck. Oh yeah, the pandemic is not good. And so I'm assuming you want to carry. That's a thing too. I don't know what state you are in. So like my company covers same-sex fertility treatment, but I know some don't, or they require you to show infertility, which means you have to pay. This is so stupid in my opinion, for 6 IUIs and have them fail before they'll move you on to IVF. So if you can, I don't know what your situation is, and I understand you're saving to buy a house. If you can, I would say get the eggs. If you can. If you can't, I get it. But at least that part of it, then you would have them on ice. Are you going to do reciprocal, or are you going to do eggs and carry yourself? plus still working on weight loss. Oh, I hear you on the weight loss, honey. I hear you. That's a never ending. What was the difference between RMA and Columbia? I loved my doctor at Columbia. I did not love my doctor at RMA. And it's a little, oh my God. Are you in the process already? Have you done it before? Because what I'm about to say may not make sense. So if I compare just the IUI from RMA, they did not do full monitoring, but I did not know that because I didn't have enough information at the time. So what I mean by that is I would go in on cycle day 3. They would do my blood work. They would not do an ultrasound. They would give me prescriptions based off of my blood work. Then I would go back mid-cycle. They would do an ultrasound. So I was dosing with Femera. So they would see how much my eggs had grown. They would do an ultrasound, but they would not do blood work. So what I know now is that they need to see and measure the size of the eggs. They should be checking the lining of the uterus. They should be looking for cysts when you go in for baseline. That is what a baseline appointment is, right? Not just blood work. The blood work is making sure you're not pregnant. So they're looking for HCG. They're looking to see where your E2 or estradiol is. They're looking to see where your follicle stimulating hormone is. And they're looking to see where your progesterone is. They also need to see your uterus. They never did that at RMA for the IUIs. Then when you go in for your mid-cycle, they're looking visually. So at this point, if you don't have any cysts, you don't have any cysts. But if you do, then you've paid for your meds, you paid for the monitoring, and you have to stop your cycle. They're looking at your lining, but then they're only basing the time to trigger off of what they see visually of the eggs. What I know now is the estrogen matters. The higher the estrogen, it's the matter of the estrogen and the size of the follicle that determine if the egg is ready, not just the size. So potentially I triggered and never ovulated on my IUIs because we didn't know what my estrogen was. And so it wasn't going to trigger it. So that was my experience with RMA with the IUI. The doctor would not do IVF with me on my own eggs. Like that was a hard no for her. She said it was akin to medical malpractice. Sorry, I'm congested and I'm talking fast. Let me calm down. Take the temperature down. So that was my experience. I had a different experience with Dr. McConnell. That's Liberty, who was like, why are you still talking to this computer? Hi, Liberty, where are you going? I don't want any salary, but thank you. No, I don't want any. No, I don't want any. Okay. So, oh my God, where are you going? So that was the difference. When I went to Dr. McConnell, I just felt like she was a better partner with me. Like she listened to my concerns, heard what I had to say. She happened to be a woman of color. Was that the determining factor? No. But I felt like she was probably more open to listen to what I said. And I remember when I was like at RMA during the interview, she was like, oh, you're very bright. Like, where did you go to university? And I was just like, that was really off-putting to me, which now I would say was a microaggression. Again, I'm mo grown now. But what difference does that make where people are smart if they don't go? Like some people just have a good old street education. They got an education out in these streets. So anyway, yeah. Everybody at RMA was super nice, like the staff, as far as like the nurses and everything else for the most part. And the definitely the women who did the blood draws were super nice, but that was my experience there. And then I left Columbia because I'm sure people will ask and went to Share because again, I wanted to try with my own eggs. Girls, leave her alone. I might have to go soon. Oh, you know what? I'm over my 10-minute. But let me answer this question. So, because Cher had more experience with advanced maternal age, I had more success with that. When you go on the website, the SIRM, I think it is SIRM, whatever the national website is that reports on all the clinics, they had higher success rates with advanced maternal age women with their own eggs. Then my doctor left. The pandemic happened. My mom got cancer. I was in California. My doctor left. I was looking for an egg donor with the other doctor. They didn't have any service options for egg donors within Share. I knew Columbia had it. And so I went back to Columbia because I needed that high touch experience. I didn't have time to keep looking for these egg donors and dealing with lawyers and paying those fees to look at contracts that didn't make sense. So I went back to Columbia because I had always had a great relationship with Dr. McConnell. We had talked about donor eggs before I left. I wasn't ready to do it. So when I was ready, it just made sense that I go back. PIO shots, AM and PM before transfer. then shots in the AM and suppository at night after transfer. I don't know yet, Elizabeth, if I have to do them in the morning or the afternoon. I'm waiting for the meds to get here. They were actually supposed to be here last night, but it's okay. I feel the same with the male donor. How much does a donor cycle cost at Columbia? I'm thinking of doing a donor cycle by end of year. So I don't know what they cost for everyone, but I will tell you what I paid. And I did a fresh donor cycle. So I paid $10,000 for the donor. That's the donor's fee. I paid $5,000 for the administrative fee, which is them helping me find the concierge service of helping me, connect with the matching donor. I paid $2,500 for her meds, and I paid $2,100 for the procedure that is coded as egg retrieval. Then my insurance picked up the rest. If you do, they don't do frozen though there, so you'd have to go to an external agency if you were to do frozen. I understand that those are a lot less expensive if you do like the 6-pack or the dozen of eggs. Like $6,000 is my understanding of that. You may still have to get a lawyer to look at the contract for you, or if you feel confident that to do it without the contract, then don't get the lawyer. Lawyer's fees cost me about $1,000 to do contract review. So it was all in all, I want to say it was like it was 20,700, something like that. All in all, for the donor part of it, out of pocket that I paid. I wouldn't have went with them neither. Yeah, the other one wanted $16,000 out of the gate before there was even a match, and then they didn't want it. They weren't going to give it back, so I thought that was foolish. And that was not all of it. That was like the down payment at the one in California. That was the down payment, just to get a match sheet. Happy to TTC channel for over 45. Seems like there is a lot of judgment. Oh wait, I haven't seen that. Happy to TTC. I want to go look. Judgment about what? I'm going to go look at this channel. I don't see it. You know what? I think in this TTC in general can have like a lot of judgment. Like I had to get off of some of the baby boards because people either like they want to tell you how they did it, and if you're not doing it that way, somehow that they get offended. I'm not sure why. But yeah, I have to carry because my girlfriend. Oh my God. Okay. Yikes. Yeah. Eggs and carry. Do you get all the eggs? Yes, all the eggs are mine. It's a dedicated cycle. Oh, that's the other thing. So they have not at Columbia, but there are other places who do shared cycles. So I learned a little bit about that from talking to Ursula, but she can tell you more. Like I only asked a couple questions, and then I realized I was bombarding her with questions, and then I felt bad because I know I don't like it when people are just like, ah. So if she wants to do a video about it, with all the details, I'm sure she will, but they have it where there are multiple, and I've seen those. I've seen it actually on Instagram where there are girls who go together, like, oh, they do a eggcation, and I think they're either sharing, I don't know if they're doing their own eggs or they're sharing someone else's eggs, but they're sharing meds and they're sharing like the cost of something. But there are places where there can be multiple people who have it. So yeah, all the eggs belong to me once they were retrieved. They became legally my eggs. So yeah. And then obviously by default, all the embryos are mine. So, oh, Sabrina. So yeah. If she did a full hysterectomy, then yes, you were doing eggs and you put eggs and carry. So yeah. So I think if they're, obviously your eggs are better now than they are a year from now or 2 years from now, just for everyone in general. Obviously weight plays a factor into it and all those things, but definitely talk with an RE, I think, before you get too far down the road. I mean, worst case scenario, I don't know how far you are from your house, but you can always take out, I know it's not the greatest thing, but like an equity loan against your house or some of your 401k money. Like if you're using 401k to get your deposit, maybe you use some of that for the egg retrieval. The egg retrieval is the most expensive part of IVF. The transfer is less expensive. Just there's less monitoring and there's less medication. And like my meds for transfer, I paid $20. It was $10 for the estradiol, for the estrogen, and $10 for the progesterone. And so, yeah, where I spent $2,500 for retrieval meds. if it were me, it would have only been like $350 for retrieval meds because my insurance would have covered it. Like it's $50 per script, but whatever. But yeah, if there's a way to do it, and I'm not trying to put pressure on you, these are just things to think about because like they were not things I knew. It is if there's a way to figure out the retrieval sooner rather than later, then that, definitely is an option. Yeah. Or if you decide you don't want to use your eggs, that's another option, but that's going to be a little more expensive either way. Yeah, it's a crazy game. It's a crazy game. Oh, good. I'm glad that was helpful. I don't mean to be all up in your business, but I'm just trying to be helpful. Like there's some things that I wish I knew, so I just try to like share what information I have and then apply it as you will see fit. All right, I've been on here for 2 hours, 20 minutes. I have a puppy who's eating a wicker basket. It's 7:40. I need to go feed them. So I'm going to say goodbye. Unless there's any other burning questions that anybody has. Thank you guys all for talking to me. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for supporting Ursi, uniquely Ursi. I think we have like tripled her subscribers, or at least doubled it for sure, within 24 hours, which I think is amazing. I'm glad that there are other women out there who identify with us and who are interested in the journey. I want to empower all women to take their fertility in their own hands and make decisions that make sense for them and not for society. So yeah. All right, ladies. Good night. Bye, Takima. Good night. Kitty, Room, Sabrina, Sandra, I'm a Queen to Me. Is it Takima? It's pretty, whatever it is. I know I'm butchering it. Bitsy, Sandra, I'm gonna go watch your video now. Elizabeth, who else was in here? A-Team. I'm going to watch your video. It popped up. I saw it on Instagram and it popped up in my feed. So I'm definitely gonna go watch your video and see. Oh, thank you on my hair. I didn't even see that. If you're still here. TK Singleton, I follow her. Oh, you follow Sandra and she gives you to advocate for yourself. Yes, ma'am. Okay, I think that's it. Hopefully I didn't miss anyone. Thank you, ladies. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Baby, that's to us all.